Chat. Chat, I have done something heinous. I have done something heinous. If you haven't scrolled up and seen what I told Carrie, I have done something horrible and heinous that no god can forgive me for, even knows her name.
Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't spread over every egg.
And then there's Ordain. What am I gonna do with you, mister? Why are there so many classics? Oh, that's me. I'm reading my own chat message. I'm reading my own chat message. Is taken care of? Taking care of? Taken or taking?
Oh my god!
All right.
Okay,
Oh my goodness. God damn it! All right. Well, we'll just. I have a schedule to follow. Whose schedule's more important, mine or yours? Here. When you're here, whose schedule's... I'm kidding, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Also, the goofy way that you spelled schedule, listen, it's better than whenever I put, like, when I put the schedule in, I always say, like, schedule time first. That's actually read schedule time. I want you to remember that, chat. I want you to remember that. Anytime I type the word schedule, I want you to read it as schedule. It is schedule. We have a schedule to stick to, chat. You're going to behave at your best behavior, aren't you? Right. Right. Another year older, another year sitting in the tent existing. There is only because Marin tolerates me. You're fine in the corner. Work it. I like to move it. I like to move it. All right. Oh, I wish Twitch would give me a thing that would be like, no redeems for the first 10 minutes. No redeems. But then Sunstar wouldn't be able to do like self-care and stuff right at the beginning of stream. Speaking of self-care. The self-care is brought to you by water. Cool, crisp water on these hot summer days. Thought I was going to say gamer subs, didn't you, chat? Thought I was going to say gamer subs, didn't you? No, not today. GamerSubs is not sponsoring the stream today. GamerSubs doesn't sponsor streams. They sponsor me. But I'm not drinking GamerSubs today. Means it can't be redeemed for 10 minutes, so... Sponsorship already? No. I just like to make the joke anytime there's a self-care. If I have, like, my GamerSubs sitting here, that's what I decide to sip out of, I'll be like, brought to you by GamerSubs, because I always forget to mention it. Usually it only pops up, like, once every... 30 or 45 minutes, something like that. I don't remember how often it does it. I make it like really, really low. I've seen some people that literally just take the asset they're given. It's like a 3-minute asset and they just let it play on repeat. So it shows, the banner shows up every 3 minutes and then goes away and then comes back 2 minutes later. I don't do that shit. Mine's every 30, 45 minutes. I don't remember what it's set to. Don't want water? Give me the most sugary bullshit soda possible. Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew, I think is... Hold on, what is the most sugary soda? Most sugary soda. Oh. Oh, it's literally Coca-Cola. No, that's most recognizable. I don't want most recognizable. I want most sugary. What has the most... I thought it was Mountain Dew. Oh, here we go. It is Mountain Dew. 19.25 teaspoons. More than twice as much as a Gatorade. Although... What is that? Nantucket Nectar's cranberry juice has almost as much sugar as a Mountain Dew. That's fucking crazy. Christ. 39 grams of sugar in a Coca-Cola. That's fucked. That's fucked. But welcome in, guys. Educating the sheeple? Oh my god, no, not the sheeple. Not the sheeple. All right, chat. I'm gonna tell the heinous thing. Hi, Queen Leah. Welcome in. The heinous thing that I did today for the sole purpose of doing these conspiracy things in the future. One thing I thought I would never do in my life. I made an Instagram. Literally, like, just before stream. It is not going to be used for anything except for finding conspiracy theories. I even put it on my junk email. So I put it on my junk email because this thing is not going to be used. I forgot what I made the username. I think I named it something like Clown Corrections or something. What's wrong with Instagram? It's owned by Facebook and a fucking garbage site for garbage people. Why not finish what I said? Or unless you're one of those annoying business types. Everything. What's wrong with Instagram? Everything. Everything down to its code base. But there is a particular someone that I wanted to pull up today because I saw it on the newest Milo thing and I wanted to see the rest because in it, he didn't do any of the videos, but he mentioned that apparently this guy has a bunch of biology conspiracies. So we're going to look for some of those. Oh yeah, enjoy your season pass, Bazant. Sorry. Instagram, today's version of yes, I am interested in receiving your mimeographed zero margins newsletter. I would fucking die. That's why I put it on my junk email and just said, fuck it. It's fine. It's fine, I'm sure. Milo mentioned gets excited. Listen, I like Milo. I like Milo's stuff. I think Milo's probably honestly the most like charismatic conspiracy person I've ever seen on the internet. I think that's why he's so popular. He's funny and he's charismatic. And he just doesn't like, he's not as boring as a lot of the other ones are. Google debunkers unite, hands in, hands in. We're Google debunkers over here. Yeah, we're going to watch more Philip Ziva today too, because he's put out more videos. Oh boy, his comparison of Labubu to Pazuzu.
Scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skull will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
It's your birthday today. Wow, there's a lot of people's birthday this month. Happy birthday, Leo. We're doing crackpots today? Yes, we're doing crackpots today. Hi, Tommy. I got some metal spring grenade. You keep misspelling it. You're so close. It's just D instead of T. It's not grenade. It's grenade. Labubu equals Pazuzu. Changed my mind. Oh yes, all the people buying Labubu are in fact possessed by Pazuzu. The Labubu-bonic plague. As if I care. Ordain. You need your spelling. Spelling, mister. It's important to get your message across. Anyway. I hear Google debunkers, and all I could think of is that one archaeology YouTube that debunks. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, so Milo released a video Sunday, because he always releases videos every other Sunday, on a page called Shane Vibes _truth. And he's only on Instagram. He has nearly 700K followers. And during the video, Milo mentioned that he has biology conspiracies. Now, I don't see any of them yet, but I want to do some of his newer ones first. But Milo didn't show any of the biology conspiracy. That's fish. There's fish here. Chat, we've hit the jackpot. I just found fish. Eating this ultra-processed food may be good for you and the planet. No. Although it does look like they're talking about, like, vegetarian burgers. I'm almost certain that article is going to be about lab-grown meats. Partially produced with genetic engineering. Mars bars? I mean, it's a... Oh no, there's a video down here that shows old wood versus new wood. Gee, buddy, I wonder why. I wonder why why you think that the wood previously used in the United States back in the 1910s is different from the wood we use today. Oh my God. If only it was a true mystery. True mystery. Oh God, I'm actually kind of excited to check out this dude's bullshit. Oh no. Oh no. He had to make this video in multiple parts. Yeah, the thing is, it went like 2 hours. The first part was like 2 hours. And he didn't even finish what was supposed to be part 1. He had to cut at like the 2/3 mark just because of the insane shit that he has going on. Clearly, HAARP is microwaving the wood to be bad. Wait, why is this person cutting stuff off of the Labubu? Oh, Jesus. All right, hold on. I got to do those squats that somebody wanted, right? You wanted squats? Hollow, right? Squats or something else? Did you want something else besides squats? Spelling sucks and go climb a tree? Why do you want me to go climb a tree? I'm not a monkey. Well, I'm technically a monkey. That's besides the point. All right. All right. Yep, squats. All right, let's do 20 squats. Oh, Jesus. I did the one squat and it fucking hurt. All right, let's do this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right. Okay. Not the prawn hub. Hi, May. How are you doing? Have a good night. Have a good night. Interesting. We just started and you're just a first time chatter. Aw. And you're just getting here and going to bed. Aw, man. Aw, man. Scared another one to bed, chat. Hi, Ninja. How are you doing? I see those pops. I see those pops. Marin go apey? I guess. I suppose. Listen, I don't think anybody should try to fucking fall asleep to the oh man is hoping for a food stream. I need a day to not worry about humanity after the last weeks of Potato Master Scuff Science Sundays. Oh no. Oh no. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay. Theoretical framework? Ugh. Go ASMR beat you with the flipper until you go unconscious? Oh, Jesus. Yeah, pretty much. I took a sword. You don't... Whose sword did you take? Whose sword? Sorry, I'm double checking and make sure the audio has been changed already. Wait, what were the topics for Palms this past Sunday? I had Palm open for a while, but I wasn't listening because I was working on some other stuff. Sunday. I saw the beginning of something. I think she had a document open, but I don't remember what it was. Sword is sword. I'm a glutton for punishment. Join the club. I'm one of those people that's like, I gotta know things. I need to know things. I like knowing things. And then I find out people that don't know things and then get things wrong. And I'm just like, you dumb motherfucker. You dumb motherfucker. We're gonna have a talk about this. Grab him by the throat. Mountain Dew Conspiracy 2025 updates. Chat. Do we want to talk news today or do we just want to go straight into this? Is my default mood at work? You dumb motherfucker. Important phone call over what I have missed. What have I missed? Nothing much. I've just been yapping. Is the one guy quoting himself about female dating strategy? Ooh. I don't like that. I don't like that. So one little bit. What is this? Okay. Chats, do we want to go right into it or do you want me to find a topic we can talk about? I can go check out the news. Fortnite Power Rangers? Texas Republicans. Texas Republicans is trending on the news page. Republicans have decided that the only way to save themselves is to cheat. When Trump calls, they say, yes, sir, right away, sir. Happy to lick your boot, sir. That's from the governor. That's from JB Pritzker. That's from the great Khan himself. Get fucked. I like that. Yeah, apparently Greg Abbott is threatening to sign arrest warrants for all of the Democrats that left the state. But that's fucking insane and hypocritical, considering they did this. The Republicans did the same thing to avoid releasing the Epstein documents earlier, like last week, I think it was. The trailer for The Primitive War that came out 10 days ago. It's a film based on a novel of the same name where an American military platoon finds a valley of dinosaurs during the Vietnam War. Jesus. That movie sounds like it may be wait. I think I did see the trailer for that. Is it like a guy who's talking about how, like, I want to get my guys out of here, blah, 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 or like, we sent in a platoon, they never came back? Okay, yeah, I've seen that trailer. I did not have any interest in that movie. Not even a little bit. Yeah, but are dinosaurs communists or capitalists? They're fucking neither. They're opportunists. Well, some of them are opportunists. Others are obligate carnivores, obligate herbivores. So Kong Skull Island then, basically, but it's Vietnam? I don't think this... I don't think that's gonna work very well. The pterodactyl is a registered Republican? What? Is that a Sydney Sweeney joke? That feels like a Sydney Sweeney joke. Hold on, what is this? Why did my phone just light up? Hello? I don't know. Hi, Jay. How are you doing? It's based on a book series? How much of a book series can you... Never mind. How long has Jurassic Park been going? I was gonna say, how much can you make about a valley of dinosaurs in Vietnam and turn it into a book series? What do? Pick them up and try to turn them into military weapons? They did that, didn't they? Just looking up the Pokemon Dungeon games. Pokemon Dungeon games? You mean the like old Pokemon Dungeon games? Pokemon Mystery Dungeon? I played one of the older ones. Where is... it was like, I think it was the Game Boy one. Yeah, Red Rescue Team. I think I actually still have the game over in my box of old games. I'm almost certain it's still over there. Yeah, but I don't think I've never played any of the newer ones. I don't think I ever played a DS one or a 3DS one. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX for the Switch? Huh. Entered Lockheed Martin? No. Yeah, for the Ds. I'm looking at the Pokemon Dungeon games. Oh, for the DS. Okay. That's not for the Ds. It's for the DS. Ds. No, I'm kidding. Turn them into weapons? Or is it a prequel for Dino Riders? Wait, what is this? Texas Republicans, stop calling us racist. Republicans, Senator Myers Middleton. Is Gene Wu going back to China? Beau French, also a Texas representative. Who is the bigger threat to America? He posted on Twitter and making it a poll. Jews or Muslims? Those are the only two options. Today, the Supreme Court not only reversed nearly 50 years of precedent, it relegated the most intensely personal decision someone can make to the whims of politicians and ideologues. And then John fucking Cornyn says, now do Plessy versus Ferguson and Brown versus Board of Education. Chat, please tell me, at least the American viewers here, please tell me y'all remember those cases. Those cases are specifically taught multiple times in the U.S. history courses throughout primary school. And what's this? What the fuck? I don't understand this last picture that they posted with this, because there's 4 of them. I know I'm bored of education for real, for real. Hi, Bertle. Catch Pokemon on and I got a Grovyle and then a Dusknoir, which made me mad at Dusknoir. Dusknoir? You know, out of the two people on the planet, never would I expect Donald Trump, the White House, and Elon Musk to tell the UK Prime Minister that his Online Safety Act is stupid as hell. It's because they want to be able to keep watching prawn. They want to be able to keep watching all their weird prawn. I don't think I was taught those, unfortunately. Those are the cases that desegregated schools. Here. Plessy versus Ferguson. Upheld the constitutionality of racial segregation under the separate but equal doctrine. So let me see here. This is basically where it started. They basically want to bring these back. The decision allowed states and local governments to enact segregation laws for public accommodations, including transportation, schools, and other facilities. And these were overturned. These were overturned 50... Hold on, does this have a year on it? Okay, no, this was way back in fucking... So this case was made in 1892. He was 1/8 African American. Homer Plessy. Okay, let me get the other one, which is Brown versus Board of Education. Declared state-sponsored segregation in public schools unconstitutional. So basically, these are the switches of like segregation in public accommodations, desegregation in all accommodations. Is Brown versus Board of Education is the one that you want, honestly. But I'm pretty sure what this person was saying in that tweet is that he wanted them swapped back. He wants Brown versus Board of Education essentially null and void and Plessy brought back, which is so fucking like not even quiet part out loud. There's a museum dedicated to it. Yep. Let me see. What year was Brown versus Board of Education? It was specifically to overturn the Plessy versus Ferguson case. But hold on, what year? Year. 1954. Yes. No. Even if segregated facilities are presumed to be equal. Topeka, Kansas, baby. Had refused to enroll the daughter of a local black resident, Oliver Brown, at the school closest to her home, instead of requiring her to ride a bus to a segregated black school further away. The Browns and 12 other local black families in similar situations filed a class action suit in U.S. federal court against the Topeka Board of Education, alleging its segregation policy was unconstitutional. A special 3-judge court of the U.S. District Court from the District of Kansas heard the case and ruled against the Browns, relying on the precedent of Plessy and its separate but equal doctrine. The Browns, represented by NAACP Chief Counsel Thurgood Marshall, appealed the ruling directly to the Supreme Court, who issued a unanimous 9-0 decision in favor of the Browns. However, the decision's 14 pages did not spell out any sort of method for ending racial segregation in schools, and the court's second decision, Brown 2, only ordered states to desegregate with, quote, all deliberate speed. That is life right now. Fucking garbo. But also kind of fun. Kind of fun. It's in the chaos where I find my amusement. I hear Baron say Clissy instead of what she really means. Plessy? 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 Is an enigma. Will vote red in presidential elections, but then have Brown versus Board and vote to keep abortions. Yeah, Kansas is an interesting mix. So is Arkansas. Arkansas is a weird mix. Classy? Class action? No, not classy. Plessy. Plessy. Republicans know they'll lose in the midterms if they don't rig the system. That's exactly what's happening in Texas. Who's Ken Martin? Okay, hold on. What are you? Wait, is he the chairman for the Democratic Party? Yeah, that's what that's that. Okay, yeah, that's who he is. Sir, why are you on the roof? A question sounded by the press corps of the President of the United States just now. Chat, do you want to see this picture? Hold on. Listen, I have no idea what's going on or why this is happening in this picture. Why he on the roof? And then there's the people at the door taking pictures of the press. Hope he falls. No, this was this morning, 10 o'clock, 3 hours ago almost. Yeah, but there's no way there's going to be a... I don't think... Can you even bring guns into Washington, D.C., or does it have similar gun rules like New York City does? Like, I'm pretty sure bringing a gun into New York City is a felony? Isn't it? Nah, those definitely aren't the snipers. Those are just the handlers. Listen, sometimes you just gotta go out on the roof, okay? Trump says Republicans are entitled to 5 more seats through gerrymandering in Texas. The quote is entitled to 5 more seats. How do you say a phrase like that and just be like, huh? I think he's not looking at the fucking proper statistics, because if you followed demographic voting percentages, in fact, the Democrats should have 5 more seats. Hi, loser. Nothing. Not much, really. Giving up control. What happened to Don't Mess with Texas? Ah, yes. The classic don't litter in Texas slogan. And carbon monoxide detection? What is this? Okay, that's somebody posting a picture of one of the Texas Democrats at the airport. What the fuck is that? Oh, that's a Baltimore district. Oh, I hate that. That's another grossly deformed snake. Ugh. The canary with the shotgun and says the mine is safe. Y'all could get back to work. Pretty much. Pretty fucking much. If you do 5 more seats and then those go blue, listen, it would be funny. It would be funny. Again, I still feel like districts are so fucking weird and stupid. It's one of those things, I talk about this all the time. I feel like we have made life too complicated. We've made life way too fucking complicated. We need to bring back simplicity. Can we have back something like, I don't know, just make it a fucking grid, dude. Just make it a grid. Or do it by county lines. Literally just by county lines. It has been 6 months. It's been 6 months. And we still have a year and a half. Well, a year and like 3 months until fucking primaries. And at the rate it's going, it looks like they're basically just going to try to rig the system. I wonder, does anybody else remember the speech Trump gave back when he was campaigning on the... If you vote this one time, guys, you'll never have to do it again. It'll be so good, you won't ever have to vote. If I heard that shit, I would have walked out of the fucking building. Are you serious, dude? And that was not my attempt at a Trump. That was just me trying to be Guy. How they guarantee that their side always wins? Yeah, just cut each state into 4. 4 may be a little too, like, the districts then may be a little too big. Maybe like, well, it depends on the size of the state, I would say. I think they probably need to like adjust like population numbers, Because when we looked it up federally, it said, or Texas statewide, it was separated into sections by about 940,000 people per district. I think that needs to be kind of redone. Oh, redistricting certain maps may actually immediately disqualify certain representatives because the districts redraw it and their own home isn't in their district anymore. That's fucking insane. Oh, sorry, ma'am. You can't actually be a representative anymore. Your house is no longer in the district you're supposed to represent. So we're going to hold a special election. Fucking sane. It'd be so funny if so many like red flipped blue in those areas that it just immediately backfired on them. One person, one vote, get rid of districts, the electoral college, we aren't the 1800s. Correct. I mentioned this yesterday. We live in the fucking age of technology. We can have direct democracy. Direct, immediate democracy. The question is you would have to make extremely secure systems in order to guarantee the access and availability of people being able to vote, like, say, on their phones, or having semi-frequent voting sessions among the citizenry where they just come in and use a special machine for it. Like, I would prefer that shit. Don't have to be in their own districts. No. They do. They do have to be in their own districts in Texas. They have to live in the district that they represent. But because they want to redistrict the maps, apparently at least one of the representatives, one of the Democratic representatives, is going to be out of her district. Also, hold on a second. Okay, hold on. I scrolled past it. Let me see if I can find her name again. I thought it was like Jasmine something. Here it is. Jasmine Crockett is a Democratic representative that would, under the new map, not be in the district she was elected to. Which is, again, fucking stupid. Okay. Also, hi, Tay. I don't know if it said hi to you in name. Yeah, she it's Texas, and she is a Black Democrat representative. Of course, they're trying to worm their way out of being able to kick her out. Okay, I think I've gotten deep enough where it's kind of just people giving their opinions at this point. Oh, but these people are trying to push the narrative that apparently Democrats ran away in private jets, which from what I've seen is not the case at all. Wait a second. What the hell? Oh no, my screen protector is coming off my phone. No! I don't even think they care if the gerrymandering work. I think they just plan on getting the Democrats to push back against the GOP bullshit rightly. So I'll add and use this as a thinly veiled excuse to arrest competition and cancel elections when people fight back. Maybe they could. That you are not wrong, Sector. That is in the playbook. It could happen. Theoretically. It's still insane, but it is a theoretical possibility, especially whenever they're running under the idea that basically cruelty is free game. Have a good night, Swooshy. Thank you for hanging out. All of Texas should be given to Louisiana. Texas should go to Mexico. Texas should become Mexico again. My hair keeps falling from under the headphones, and it's bothering me. Protect Mirren's phone. No. Don't let Ordain anywhere near my phone. Pete Exec leaked messages with him and they want to use the army to arrest Dems. Oh, Pete Hegseth. That's who you're talking about, right? Let's see. Mm, when was this? Pete's brother. Okay, hold on. Pete's Hegseth's brother Phil was listed as a senior advisor to Hegseth to meetings, including in Congress and official foreign trips. Pete Hegseth. New Hegseth leak reveals plans for years of troops on U.S. streets. I don't know what... Department of Homeland Security is looking to boost its deployment of military of the streets of the U.S. in order to help carry out Donald Trump's immigration policies, according to a leaked memo written by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's brother. That's the weirdest way to put it. Where's the man's name? The document obtained by the New Republic details plans for how the Trump administration could use the military to assist with domestic law enforcement as part of its mass deportation agenda for, quote, years to come. Jesus, this man looks like a child. Hi, Phil. Hold on. That's not the right button. Screen position. There we go. That is a child wearing a fake beard. Defense Secretary pushed for the move despite admitting the deployment of thousands of National Guard troops and U.S. Marines to Los Angeles amid the anti-ICE protests was not perfect. Its leak is the latest to beguile the leak-prone Pentagon, where a paranoid Hegseth has been making aides and even generals take polygraphs to work out who is revealing his secrets. I'm glad Pete Hegseth is a fucking moron and thinks polygraphs fucking work. Senior fellow at the German Marshall Fund told the New Republic contents of the memo are disturbing and outline intent to use the military within the United States at a level not seen since Japanese internment. The military is the most powerful coercive tool our country has. We don't want the military doing law enforcement and absolutely undermines the rule of law. Works inside the Pentagon as liaison at the Department of Homeland Security. Wait. Previously made headline news after it was alleged his brother discussed the Trump administration's plan to attack Yemen with him on a messaging app during the Signalgate controversy. He's now alleged to have written a memo that outlines the July 21st meeting between senior DHS and Pentagon officials discussing how the department could coordinate in defense of the homeland. The memo also suggests this ramping up of military deployment is needed as foreign gangs and drug cartels that Trump has listed as terrorist organizations pose a serious threat to Al-Qaeda or ISIS cells and fighters operating freely inside America? Oh, okay. There's a reason you separate military and the police. One fights the enemies of the state, the other serves and protects the people. When the military becomes both, the enemies of the state tend to become the people. Yep. It's also, fucking police only serve and protect in theory. In practice in the United States, not really. They're there for the cleanup. When does the police officer show up if somebody broke into your home? At which point is the police officer there to keep a person out of your house? No. Certain people. Yeah, only if you fucking schedule them and pay them. All right, back to the desk. Back to the desk. You can serve and protect D's nuts, pants grab. That I hope is doing well. We're lucky they're this stupid. Yep. We're lucky they're this stupid, but at the same time, they're fast. They're fast and they're stupid. And they have everybody on their side at this point. They have everybody they need on their side. And so they kind of just get to do whatever they want until somebody fucking does something. Pants grab. Hi, VHS Shark. How are you doing? What trouble are you getting into? All right. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we have the pants grab emote, but I think it's under like etc. Oh no, that worked. Oh, maybe that got changed whenever they updated a while back. 7TV's been finicky for me. Hi, Shark. I'm doing pretty good. We're going to be moving over to the conspiracy stuff probably pretty shortly. Unless we want to do it right now. We could do it right now. I'll bring the screen back. Bah. Bah. All right, chat. Say hi to the dumple. This is for me to watch later, not for you. This is the real dumple. A dumpling insinuates the existence of a dumple. This is the dumple. It's mine. You don't get to see it. Instead, we get to put up with this shit. And this shit. We'll try to find some other ones on Instagram later, but these two are the main focus. Ringleader, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. All right. It's Zeba time, kids. Eats the dumple. My fucking dumple! All right. These are all his pins, so we're going to skip those. Zero energy is just something a conspiracy theorists constantly like to talk about by showing fucking basically perpetual motion machines in the background. It's really dumb. So we're going to do something else that's basically on par with our usual like spooky days, if that makes sense. And that's his obsession with the
If you see one of these hanging from someone's bag, run. Oh, sorry, I meant these. Turns out they might be kind of demonic, so this is everything you need to know about the Labubu demon theory in one.
Christians be weird, man. Hardcore Christians, they are weird as hell. They are weird as hell. I saw some of this recently too. I heard a little bit of it. I'm curious. Okay, this is only 1 minute, so it's very short compared to his usual stuff. We'll see.
These collectible toys called Labubus have been
It's a capitalist scam, kids. Don't fall for it.
Were seen hanging them off their purses,
Christianity, not even once. No, I grew up Catholic.
Creatures with
I grew up
sharp teeth,
Catholic.
evil grins, and angry-looking eyes that can also be red. Not suspicious at all,
That's
right?
supposed to
Many
be.
people
That can also be red. That's an albino one. Are you serious, dude? These are collectibles. That's obvious. It's white with red eyes. It's albino.
And many people came out online saying weird shit started happening right
I don't know
after
why
they
they're
bought
cutting
them.
this thing
Stories
apart.
of objects moving around their house, waking up with scratches, getting sick, and experiencing chest pains. One
You scratched yourself. You scratched yourself, you dingus. Demon giving us all the attention. Damn, wish I had that in a
girl
relationship.
claimed she saw the eyes change color and this smile get wider. Another got in a car accident shortly after buying one. Either way, everyone just felt a creepy
Ah, yes. The girl got in a car accident after buying one. It's totally not the fact that she put it up on her mirror, like in that video, and gave herself a massive blind spot. Or, you know, check her fucking car history. I've known a lot of people that are prone to accidents because they're terrible drivers. Do not hold your labubu at 3 a.m. Gone wrong. You know, sleeping with a plastic toy in your bed could get you scratched? Yeah.
unsettling presence around these toys for some reason. Well, now similarities are being drawn between
charms
the name
against
Labubu and a demonic deity from Babylonian mythology.
I'm almost 99% certain that is an AI generated version of Pazuzu. I'm pretty sure that's AI. I swear I've seen that style from other AI art.
Called Pazuzu, who's known as the king of the demons, and is often
No, he's
depicted
not.
with animal features, sharp teeth, a grinning smile, and long ears. Looks familiar, and people got so spooked they started burning theirs and throwing them.
This is the comparison that I saw where people were like, it has the same phonetic feeling, I guess. Confused with head pats. Pazuzu. The thing is, though, nobody gave a shit or knew anything about Pazuzu. I don't think Pazuzu is technically even a real god. Hold on. I forget. Wasn't he made up? No, okay, he's real. He's real. Sumerian, Syrian, Arcadian, which to like hardcore Christians, all of these are like demonic civilizations. It's so weird. If you bring up these civilizations to like the people that like believe in demons, ghosts, afterlife, all that jazz, they genuinely believe that anything Sumerian, Assyrian, or Akkadian is just full on demonic. Yeah, Pazuzu is also from the Nun movies. That's what I was gonna say. They're from the brain fart. The Conjuring universe. It became really popular in the Conjuring universe. Otherwise, nobody would give a shit. Nobody would know it exists.
them out of fear. And of course, Simpsons already called it over 7 years ago in an episode.
Wait.
where Homer
What did that
buys a
say?
literal them
Go
out
back.
of fear. And of course, Simpsons already called
Matt Groening, isn't that the producer? Isn't that the producer of The Simpsons?
it over 7 years ago in an episode where Homer buys a literal Pazuzu toy for Maggie and she gets possessed. Celebrities,
I mean, to be fair,
behavior with weird
Homer got
demonic
possessed too.
undertones marketed towards the youth has disturbingly become just another Tuesday in the 21st century. I do not claim any of this negative energy.
Is this Hot
Don't
Knife
worry,
versus
neither do
Pazuzu?
you. If you see one of these,
Also, this is very funny. Listen, I don't care what this lady's doing. How these, wait, what? Demonic little shits, Labubus be hanging on people's bag? Okay, but hold on. The lady in the subway hanging from a D-ring, that's kind of funny. Who said Pokemon was satanic because Mewtwo has 3 fingers out and he claimed he was doing the Satan hand sign? Huh? That sounds fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous. Hold on. Something off of this dark web shoe site? That looks like murder victim shoes. Do we dare? I dare. I dare.
Disturbing story of these dark web shoes. You have no idea what you're about to get into. Because this guy was fucking around with the dark web and he found out the hardest way possible. His name is Shiloh and he frequently explores the dark web, showcasing the most interesting or just
I was gonna say, it's just gonna be a weird site. It looks like they basically look like shoes, probably of potential murder victims. Who knows? Prius with 2 Labubus hanging in the back like truck nuts. That's fucking hilarious. That's hilarious. I'm double checking some of this other stuff. So I think last time we did this, it was, I think here, this 2 million view one, they found more under Egypt video, I think was his like newest one. I want to see what this one is. It definitely looks like a penis.
Exactly what you think it is.
It's a tattooed penis.
200-year-old sheath, as it's being called, was put on display at the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, showing off the finest form of antique protection, measuring in at a modest 8 inches long. Not bad. It's said to be in mint condition, as it has never been used yet, which they confirmed.
Oh, it's a condom. Oh, it's a decorative condom.
This
Okay.
magnificent sheath is made from a sheep's appendix and dates
Yeah, there we
back to
go.
around 1830. Thought to have
Wait, that's
come from
kinda cool.
an upscale brothel in France. It's also
Warrens were
super
fakes. Warrens were
mega
fakes.
rare,
They're
with only 2 of
charlatans.
these in the world,
Liars,
and this is
even.
the only one that's been put up in an exhibit. I can only imagine what the other one is being used for. A buyer scored.
But
this
somebody is
legacy
not using it,
concept
I
at an auction
promise
last
you.
year for a humble 1,000 euros, calling it a luxury souvenir, which I can tell given the
Yeah.
detailed printed image on
I was
the
gonna
side of
say,
it,
that's a
featuring a nun
historical
undressed
object,
herself
and
in
it has
3
art on it.
undressed clergymen.
That's
It also
fucking
has the
cool.
words Voilà mon choix inscribed along the shaft, which translates to "This is my choice." I guess some things never really change. Personally, I'm waiting for the 2,000-year-old ancient Egyptian sheath made from papyrus to come out. Let me know when that's on display. Also,
I promise you, that doesn't exist. They probably had other forms of contraception, but I promise you nobody is using paper as a condom. Plus, like, sheepskin condoms are the earliest thing that you could relate to being a condom, using the intestines of an animal as protection. Imagine condoms with designs like fruit roll-ups. He's using potato sacks as no, not the fucking burlap sack. That sounds awful. About the near mythology of the Bronze Age that just tickles my pickle. He does mention something at some point about pyramids giving him a chub. But okay, hold on. What is this?
no, how is literally no
How old is this one? This is from the 3rd.
one talking about this? Yet another ancient man-made pyramid that was destroyed and
That's a
covered
hill.
up with virtually no evidence of it anywhere. This is
That's
the
a hill.
pyramid of Saint André de la Roche in France,
Is it?
northeast of the city of Nice, just along the French Riviera. And this is a weird one. Finding
Okay.
any information about this pyramid anywhere online is next to impossible. But the few articles that do exist all tell us the exact same story. The
Does
Pyramid of
it?
Saint Andre was a man-made step pyramid in southeastern France and one of the largest ancient pyramids in all of Europe.
It doesn't look like a whole pyramid. It looks more like a step built like hill. Like it's been shaped. And then these are basically guards to keep it from eroding too much.
It was built with dry stone, about 50 meters high and 200 meters long, similar to the step pyramid of Djoser in Egypt, albeit a little shorter but much wider. What was really impressive about the pyramid of St. Andre is that its time of construction was officially determined to be around 4000 BC. That's 6,000 years old, 1500 years older than the oldest pyramid in Egypt.
How is that number believable? Hold on, what was the name of this pyramid? Oh, whoops. I wanted to F11, not close it.
Yo, how is literally no officially this pyramid St. Andre, this Italian reason?
Where is it?
Ancient altar, but the few articles that do exist.
Saint Andre de la Roche. Commune. That's fucking Facebook. Here, we'll see if Wiki has anything on it. What is Neperos? Oh, exactly what he's scrolling. Okay, get that shit out of here. The academic narrative we are taught from an early age is that the Mesopotamia was the cradle of civilization. Following this, the Egyptian civilization emerged in all its splendor, fully developed culture. What? No! God, he's using conspiracy websites as sources. It's just a area. I don't understand. I don't understand.
All tell us the exact same story.
Hey, self-care. How are you doing, Vanilla Knight?
Step pyramid in southeastern France and one of the largest ancient pyramids in all of Europe.
I have it. Okay, I played it Thursday? Wednesday. Last Wednesday we played it. Affected by the censorship? I know. I was given a key. I was given a key before it launched. And I played it last Thursday. Because I was originally supposed to play it on the day that it launched, but then it got pushed back. So then I was like, okay, we'll wait for it to launch. And then it got removed. So then I was like, I'm just going to play it. I have the key. I have it on Steam. Must be true. WikiLeaks. Not even that. Wikipedia isn't always 1% true, but it's usually a good way to like find a small section and then go down the pipeline because they usually have pretty decent sources on them. Sorry, I usually hold a thing of chapstick when I'm chatting, just, you know, stimmy. And I accidentally kind of let go of it and it bounced across the room. Is older than Giza, right? I'm pretty sure. We can double check that.
It was built.
Shut up. Pyramid of Djoser. This dude sources the conspiracy on top of his conspiracy video. It's a Facebook post on top of the conspiracy page. Da-da-da-dum. Step Pyramid of Djoser. Step Pyramid of Horus. Okay. "27th century BC during the third dynasty for the burial of Pharaoh Djoser." Okay. Hold on. Timeline. It's the thing too. They do this stuff all the time where they're like unification of upper and lower. Okay, so 3.1 thousand BC. But they do stuff like this where they over exaggerate some number just made up by somebody else. But there's no information on it, which probably kind of makes me think that it was like a tourist trap or...
Dry stone, about 50 meters high and 200 meters long, similar to the step pyramid of Djoser in Egypt, albeit a little shorter but much wider. What was really impressive about the pyramid of St. Andre
go dig up the rest of the dirt on this pyramid to show me.
4,000 BC. That's 6,000 years old, 1,500 years old.
Again, though, that doesn't make any sense. Where did you get this source besides a Facebook post?
How intricately designed this pyramid really was. but for some reason in the 1970s it was completely demolished.
The Red Pyramid is older than Giza? Yeah, there's a lot of older pyramids.
That's the official
There's a lot of newer
story,
ones
at least,
too.
which can be traced back to this Italian foundation who originally wrote about it, called Eco-Spirituality, a fairly small organization whose objectives include the protection of the traditions and cultural heritage of the native peoples of the planet, basically preserving ancient sites. Quite a noble cause, if I do say so myself.
Okay, I don't like the idea of it being eco-spirituality.
Questions it more. Like, why would anyone demolish a 6,000-year-old pyramid to build a highway? It is possible that this story
because
is just
capitalism.
A rumor, so all you debunkers can calm the f down.
Also, hold on a second.
Why non-profiters can calm the f down.
Wait. So that's the highway on the left side of that picture. I don't think this is... I think they just shaped a hill so that they could put a road next to it. Either that or they cut into it so that they could get material for the highway to level it.
Just a rumor, so all you debunkers can calm the f down. Although I don't see why a non-profit organization would want to tarnish their reputation by making up something like this.
That's just
but
a hill.
Of course, knowing me, we have to discuss the possibility.
Go ahead,
of
dig up the side. Show me that there's steps going all the way down. I feel like this is just a hill.
Can't be traced back to any other source, and they're not AI generated nor edited, so they're legit. Detailed descriptions and recreated nor edited, so.
Two of those are the same picture. I think this is the view from the right side of these ones that is the two same pictures. But, okay, maybe that's it. Maybe these are the same pictures. I can't quite tell. Oh, ad break. Ding donk. All right, fishing time, kids. Fishing time. All right, I don't need to go anywhere. I still have plenty of water. Nope, hold on a second. Oh, yeah. Hey, Faye actually sent me the... I'm going to go ahead and repost that. Okay. Oakley dokeling. Yay! Hi, Vequin. Oh, wait, that is such a funny fucking emote. Scream! So much gold. Getting all the gold, baby. Getting all the gold. Make it a little bit bigger. I don't remember how to change the shape of this thing. Raggle fraggle. Okay. Bloomberg journalist Jason Leopold reported this morning that the president's name has been redacted from more than 100,000 documents the FBI has of the child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. Go ahead. Unredact it, you fools. Unredact it. Foie time? Foie time? What is foie? Foie foie? I thought the same thing. Rivet on the terrace farming part, because a lot of the times they typically are. Yeah. Yeah, 100,000, like having thousands upon thousands of documents is not all that surprising, especially because sometimes it comes down to like photos on a piece of paper counts as one page. Sometimes certain words or certain like, because they're thorough. They get like everything and then compile it and document it. What happens next? That's a good fucking question. That's a good fucking question, Murdoch. Probably fucking nothing again. Probably fucking nothing. All right. Just realized I had the volume for the music a little too low. All right. Zeba, what do you got?
They're legit. Detailed descriptions and
They're
recollections
legit,
of
sure.
the Pyramid of St. Andre are also attested by many others who saw it with their own eyes, like authors from the 19th century such as Christian Bouquet, and others from the 20th century by these
Okay.
names, at least according to the original source article.
Wait. Northeast city of Nice in French Riviera can be considered one of the largest pyramids found on the European continent. Made by laying dry stone more than 50 meters high and about 200 meters long. Placed around 4,000 to 3,500 BC. Where's your fucking source? Also, wait, other European pyramids? I'm pretty sure like Eastern Europe has like ziggurats. Old ziggurats, I think, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Pelasgians, also called sea people, settled in Europe. This is gonna be Atlantis. This is gonna be fucking Atlantis. Abandoning their fertile lands in the basin of the current Black Sea, progressively invaded by the waters of the Mediterranean, constituted an important historical testimony of the European civilization that lived in the continent before the appearance of the Roman Empire and Christianity. However, despite its importance at the end of the 1970s, the pyramid was completely razed to make way for a motorway junction. Then what are the pictures we're currently looking at?
Source article. These are the few photos taken of the pyramid by observers shortly before its destruction. Here it is from the south side with its stepped structure clearly visible. Here's a shot from the Pion River showing us how massive it really was. And this one from the
not
west,
that
where we can
big.
see some sort of access passageway in the middle of the structure. I gotta admit, it does have a striking
That doesn't look like it at fucking all, dude.
resemblance to what Gunung Padang was suspected to look like. Another
Ah,
controversial
gotcha.
super ancient pyramid in Indonesia, rumored to be as old as 27,000 years old. Is this evidence of an
No, it is not. I know where he's gonna go. He's only halfway in. We're only halfway into this video. Why?
Even the Egyptians? Because this sure isn't the only ancient structure that's been found in the area. There's also the
Yes.
Falikon pyramid, located near the town of Falikon, just outside of Nice, in the exact same.
All right, hold on. We got another one. Falikon pyramid. Okay. Constructed above a karstic cave known as the Cave of Bats. Few pyramids in Europe, constructed of small, irregularly shaped stones possessing an acute angle inclination. Partly ruined condition, while most of its upper section is missing, the lower section is reasonably well preserved. Roman legionaries involved in Egyptian cult practices. More recent. Wait, what is this from? A French. I do not know what to call this. I don't know what to call this. Translate, damn you. Why won't you translate? English, please. It fucking won't translate this page. I guess it doesn't like HTML. Ugh, I can't read French. Oh, there it goes, actually. All right, what do we got? No, this is the home page, isn't it? Memoirs index, summaries, authors, sites. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Okay, hold on. That is a lot of documents. Oh, this is gonna be a pain. What was this? Research indicate that it was actually built between 1803 and 1812 during the rule of Napoleon. Get fucked. Get fucked, Ziba.
area.
It was
Originally
made
about 9
during the
meters tall, built on
1800s,
top of
you
the mountain
fucking
range of
goofball.
Mont Shaw, 430 meters above sea level, which would have made its
It's
construction
built over
even
a
more
cave.
difficult and impressive. Its specific purpose and likely prehistoric origin remain a total mystery.
It's not
and
prehistoric.
We have no idea by who or when it was
Google
originally
choked on
built.
French,
There's the
yeah.
ancient pyramid of Couhard, located near Autun, France, further north, thought to have been
Are we just rapid firing pyramids now? God damn it. Hold on. Couhard pyramid. That poor thing looks decrepit, dude. Decrepit. All right, hold on. There's a tourism page. We'll check the wiki real quick. Again, this is just Google debunking shenanigans. It's in French. Fuck. Why is the wiki page in French? Damn it. Ancient necropolis. French commune. Shut up. Considered one of the great necropolises of the Roman city Augustinum. Ancient Autumn. The cemeteries of all Roman cities were always located outside the walls. More likely a funerary monument, a tomb covering the remains of a deceased person, or a cenotaph celebrating their memory. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, do I need to pull up Nicolas Cage's pyramid? Is that what we need? He's already bought himself this plot in a New Orleans cemetery. It's great. It's not that weird for somebody who's big and famous to get a monument like this. Although you can tell it's basically just made out of patterned rocks and stuff to give it, like, that looks like the exterior, so it would have been much prettier before it eroded. Okay, hold on. What does the tourist site have to say? Ancient necropolis. 1st century AD, meaning it's likely Roman. How old do you think Philip Ziva's going to say this pyramid is? Do you think he's going to give some obnoxious number, or do you think he's actually going to give the real number? Do you think he's going to say 1st century AD? You think he's going to say 5000 BCE? I think so too. I think he's going to over exaggerate it. All right, let's see.
France further north, thought to have been built around the 1st century AD by the Romans.
Oh, okay, he's right. He's right. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him. Look at him go. Look at him go.
It sure does look older than that to me. Like, how is this infinitely more eroded than the Egyptian pyramids, which are thousands of years older?
It's in France and not the Egyptian desert. That's how. Any other questions? Any other, I mean, we could pull up, hold on, where's our black pyramid? We need the black pyramid again. Bigger picture for chat. Hi chat, say hi to the black pyramid. Possibly one of the worst examples of a pyramid ever made. This was made for an emperor in his lifetime. Originally, if you didn't know, if you haven't seen it, because we talked about this last time we did the conspiracy theories, they like to claim that, like, this doesn't look like a pyramid, and then show, like, a fucking plateau in the United States. Essentially, it was done so poorly and so terribly that even when they were building it, it was already falling apart. Leshy, thank you for renewing your season pass. Holy shit, how are you doing? No, they had it. This pyramid was built in, like, the Middle Dynasties. The thing was, though, the pharaoh it was meant to entomb isn't even here. They gave up and built another one. He was buried there. But this is just an example that, like, conspiracy theorists will pull up pictures of all the time and then be like, we'll just Arizona plateau. I just need a random picture. They'll just pick, like, a random rock. Not quite this one, but something like just a rock that kind of sort of seems to have a point to it. Vibe into stream. Well, thank you, Leshy. It's good to see you. They'll just pick a rock and be like, that looks more like a pyramid to me than this. And they say this is a pyramid. Blah, 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 blah. Entomb these nuts, Marin. I will entomb your nuts. Give them here. They will be entombed in time for all eternity. They're going in resin. Big rock. Yeah, big rock.
It would kind of make sense if this was captured by the Romans, who claimed it for themselves.
Egypt was Fertile Crescent. It was kind of just barely outside the Fertile Crescent, but it was very early on. It was very early on.
There's the Cairn of Barnenez on France.
I swear to God, you do 2.5 minutes of the one pyramid and... Oh, shit. Hold on. God damn it. I accidentally dragged the tab, so it, like, broke. Okay. Cairn of... What was it? Barnenez? Ooh. Wait, this is actually kind of interesting. Neolithic monument located Plujoc, Kinelelen Peninsula in northern Finisterre, Brittany, France. It dates to early Neolithic, around 4000 BC, along with the tumulus. Oh, there's more? Oh, interesting. The megaliths. Okay. One of the oldest man-made structures on Earth. It's also remarkable for the presence of megalithic art. Oh. All right, what do we think he's going to say about this? Do you think he's going to claim there's no way that ancient people built this? It had to be an advanced civilization? Ardenese nuts? Is that all today is going to be from you, chat? Is today just these nuts jokes left and right? Also, Sector, thank you for the holy shit. Thank you for the bits. Big Black Pyramid. Oh, no. He's just naming stone and ceramic burial mounds. Burial mounds, ceremonial grounds, like, I don't know, man. I can't believe Marin made these. I did, in fact, make these pyramids.
This is northwestern tip, a structure
time machine, baby, time machine.
Built around 5000 BC, one of the oldest standing structures in the world.
I think it was actually 4000 BC.
The oldest pyramids in Egypt. This one's only about 9 meters high and is attributed to have been built by Neolithic tribes. Nowhere near as sophisticated as the rumored pyramid of Saint Andre. It was built as a prehistoric funeral chamber, which shows us how far this region's history really goes. Because I don't know if you knew this, but France hosts some of the most well-preserved prehistoric sites in the world, like the world-famous Neolithic cave paintings in locations like Lascaux and Chauvet-Pont d'Arc. Some of the most outstanding displays of prehistoric
rock of these trying times, yeah, because the environment is great.
36,000 years old on official record. France is ripe with ancient prehistory that goes as far back as we're virtually capable of. So why would they intentionally demolish something as remarkable as the Pyramid of Saint Andre?
Because it probably wasn't remarkable.
Is this another cover-up of an advanced ancient civilization that would rewrite our entire understanding of history that they are not ready for? Or maybe just a completely fabricated story. By the way, this was submitted to me by a fan. Shout out Zdravko89. Feel free to hit me up if there's any topic you want me to talk about. Well,
I know it's Zdravko.
Hypothetically, if you did want to
wait, where are you?
Something from history and hide it from the general public, what would be the best way to do that? I would argue by replacing it with
okay, but why leave the other ones?
After this pyramid was
why leave the other fucking
the most famous man-made pyramid in the world is built in France in 1989, the Louvre, drawing all attention and searches to the pyramid in France to this, thus keeping the original Pyramid of Saint Andre a mystery lost in the shuffle of time. Or maybe it's all just a rumor.
There's tons of sites all over France. Why do you think this is? No, shut up. What gets me is how these goons think they're just some grand globe spanning conspiracy and they're the ones who crack code. Yes, exactly, Hectic. That's what almost all of these are going to be. That generally boils down. At some point, conspiracy theorists boil down their shit to just being Atlantis. And that's pretty much where it ends. All right, I want to see what this one is because it has fucking 3 million views.
If they're not gatekeeping something down there, I don't know what this is. An amateur pilot just flew
that was
over
fucking
Antarctica and is now
3D animation.
His name is Ethan Guo, and he was
actually I think it was AI because I'm pretty sure that was the loss of object permanence for an AI video.
Mission to raise $1 million for childhood cancer research by being the first person to fly solo over all 7 continents in the world. After journeying for over 360 days,
that's pretty
the last
cool.
continent on his list was Antarctica. He was flying from Chile to Argentina, performing an extended flyby of the Antarctic rim he was later planning on going to, when poor weather
Yes.
conditions forced him to make an emergency landing in a public airfield on King George Island in Antarctica. At first, he was met with the
What?
airport
Thank God
security
somebody
team and
was there.
firefighting staff to make sure he was all good, and they welcomed him into their base. Everything seemed fine, and he was even clear to continue his journey after about an hour, when all of a sudden, men in black clothing came and arrested him as he was about to leave. They took his phone, strip searched him, inspected his entire plane, impounded it at a local hangar, and then finally placed him in a
Okay.
holding cell under guard supervision, denying him access to Wi-Fi or any contact with the
Okay,
outside
but he was
world.
still able to
Turns out,
record,
those men in
apparently.
black suits were the Chilean Navy, claiming he violated international aviation rules by submitting a false flight plan to Argentina and then faking an emergency to land in Antarctica. But as mentioned, this is a public airfield in Antarctica, which isn't owned or governed by the laws of any country in the world. And typically, emergency
Actually, that is incorrect. Antarctica is sectioned off for certain countries to practice, as well as carries under several treaties. But does Chile and Argentina have a rocky relationship? Does anybody know? I know we have some people here from Argentina and from Chile that usually kind of lurk. An all-powerful shadow government hiding aliens and advanced super tech that's left hints everywhere like it's some puzzle game, and I am the only one who's noticed. And other such conspirators are from bad German guys in the 40s. No, it's not. VHS Shark. It's worse than that. It's worse than that. Do you know where the bad German guys got their ideas? Americans. They got their ideas from Americans. The American Eugenics Society was fucked. Is that they go through all that. There's a global conspiracy to control the world. It's called capitalism. Correct. They want to own the world.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
if
Sorry,
they're
I scrolled.
not
Hold on.
The ants forced him to dissolve our plane.
I accidentally
impounded it at a local hangar, and
bumped
then
the
finally
fucking scroll wheel.
placed them in a holding cell under guard supervision.
There was also a
denying him
Londoner or
access
two.
to Wi-Fi or any contact.
I
with
mean,
the
if the-
outside
if the-
world.
if the
Turns out,
Chilean
those men in
government's
black suits
paranoid-
were the Chilean Navy, claiming he violated
Yeah.
international aviation rules by submitting a false flight plan to Argentina and then faking an emergency to land in Antarctica. But as
What was the emergency? They never said. Could he have faked an emergency? Was there a problem?
mentioned, this is a public airfield in Antarctica, which isn't owned or governed by the laws of any country.
The airfield
in the world.
itself
And
is public,
typically,
meaning you can
emergency
land
airplane
there
landings
should there be a
grant you
situation
immunity
or
from
should you have a
regulations and
flight
protocol
plan.
to ensure your safety above anything else.
But
Yet
he
they
didn't
threw
have
all
a
that
flight
out the
plan.
window and placed him on a 90-day travel ban while they investigate, and now he's
Oh, well,
just
nothing lost.
stuck in Antarctica. He can't even leave the facility he's in without being supervised by a guard at all times. Not like
Why is he
there's anywhere
crying?
he can go, but he's now essentially being held hostage in the most remote continent in the world. Which
Still?
begs the question, did he see something during his flight he wasn't supposed to and is now being debriefed to forget what he saw? Or
What? What's this eugenics society? You've never heard of the American Eugenics Society? Fucking good. I'm glad you've never heard of them because they don't exist anymore, but they existed pre-1930s. America was, I'm not even joking, America as a whole was very designer baby eugenics friendly. Very, very early on. There was even, I think there was game shows. Let me see if I can find it. It was it better? I don't think it was Better Genetics for Better Fireside Chats. It was for something for Better Fireside Chats. There was, the organization essentially made like a national level organization where they would do get-togethers where they would talk to people about like getting their genes checked and like understanding their history. And they essentially would play a game where they would, like, for every long-lived person in your family, you get a +1 point. For every family member that had an untimely death, had a genetic disease, or anything of the sort, you got minus points. And they turned it into a game of essentially teaching other people eugenics. But it was something for Better Fireside Chats. And I can't remember exactly. Faking an emergency landing, basically forcing their air traffic control to clear the landing area so he could land would be massively illegal for safety reasons. That's true. That's true. The thing is, I just opened his page. So, Told her I'm flying to Europe. Day 99? India. Where's this Antarctic section? I figured it'd be like the whole day. Okay, let's just see the newest one then. 623. Listen, when you got your own Cessna, might as well use it.
Ever to fly all 7 continents solo, day 102. And India's a mess. 8 hours just to find fuel, 2 more hours to fuel up. And now I'm
Out of the barrels.
It's monsoon season and there's storms everywhere. So wanting to stay alive,
Okay.
as soon as it touched down, I got surrounded by workers because I had to fix some engine issues, and then we refueled because tomorrow's the most dangerous flight of.
Okay.
I'm attempting to
Hold on. Wait, what was the end?
As it touched down, I got surrounded by fix some engine issues, and then we refueled because tomorrow's the most dangerous flight of the trip. I'm attempting to become.
But then it... Yeah, this isn't the newest one. Where's... The thing is, though, is I also don't see... There's Egypt. Did they get deleted? Did they get deleted? I mean, he doesn't sound that bad. I don't think so. I don't like. I think this guy's fine. This guy's just doing his best. What it sounds like with Philip on this video is he's making shit up. He's making shit up because he doesn't understand aviation, international diplomacy, or anything of the sort. Hi, Suppressy. How are you doing? Thank you for the 10 stream streak. Holy shit. Pippin! Thank you for the self-care. Wait. Huh? He found Black Rock? I remember when I was in school, Antarctica said Garden of Eden. Later, it was changed. So this is why they protect it. The Garden of Eden, the Fountain of Youth, means a cure for cancer. What? That's insane. That's straight up insanity. Also, this comment gets it. Bro, he's literally just landed where he wasn't allowed to. That's all. For anyone to fly to, that's true. You do need permits. You need permits to be able to fly to Antarctica because most of it is like research bases. SCP, whatever protects the garden. Oh my god. Claim he didn't actually have an emergency landed just because he wanted to keep in mind Chile arrested a non-Chilean citizen in part of an Antarctica they don't own. They even signed the Antarctic Treaty, which states no country can lay claim to Antarctica. Yeah, but they're all still there researching and they have their bases. They have their treaties. It's not just, oh yeah, just anybody can go to Antarctica. Totally. Restricted to Antarctica is the McMurdo Dry Valleys, which is super important to science and researchers. Yep. Can you like my house? Fucking goofy. Okay, I just want to see what was in the comments for this. All right, hold on. Oh god. Secret underground doomsday bunkers for elites. Okay. Historic proof of Atlanteans. Okay, hold on. We got Mountain Dew conspiracy update. These are really not far apart from each other. Karahora shaft. Another archaeo. Okay, there's the Loretto staircase. We talked about the Loretto staircase. I've been to that staircase. I think we're good. I think we're good with Philip. Let's do this other person I found, because apparently this guy uploads so frequently, upwards of multiple times a day. Which, one, insane. Two, God, shut up, dude. But it looks like his more recent stuff is robots. I kind of want to see what this one is.
Language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes of...
Who the fuck is Manly P. Hall? American writer. He's real. He's a real person. The secret teachings of all ages. The secret teaching of all ages. The lost keys of Freemasonry. The secret destiny of America. I don't like this. Astrologer and mystic. Christ, dude. Good lord.
About all the strange symbolism that we see.
Again, we have
Media
white
items
dude
just
in
gonna cover
baseball
all
cap
bases. The corporate
speaking to
logos
his
that have
phone.
ancient
I honestly thought it was a
symbology
joke
to them.
name and it was going to be a
Manly
P stand for
Hall
penis,
was
so it's
no
Manly
dum-dum.
Penis Hall.
However, at what point will the human race learn to read the language of symbolism? I
Oh
think
my
that
god, they
we're
dressed
on
a
the
robot like
precipice
Adam
of that right now.
Sandler.
People are
What's that?
calling
Wait,
out
didn't
all kinds of
Makari
corporate logos
end up on
and
like the
symbology. We're
Tonight
seeing all over the
Show
place.
based
Now,
off
we do
that
more
tweet?
deep dives into stuff like this on my Rumble live stream channel because some of it
Speaking of
comes
Makari,
into
the
category of,
hollow
like,
use. Yep,
making a
yeah.
claim, about certain corporations and whatnot. So if you want to tune in and hear a deep dive on this, which is shocking, comment the word Rumble below and I'll send you a link to my Rumble live stream channel.
Okay, so this guy's much more annoying when it comes to this stuff. From the stuff that I've seen previously to today, he's going to talk about something called chalk a lot. He's going to say that he doesn't get like paid on Instagram. And he's going to ask people to comment things all the time. Comment truth, comment chalk, comment, in this case, Rumble. Because I noticed up here, he streams on Rumble every night, which is already a red flag. But I wonder what this hot blob is.
Breaking news: a mysterious, massive, hot blob.
Fucking comments,
beneath
dude. The
eastern
fucking
United States is
comments.
moving towards New York, puzzling scientists. So I researched this, and
Lab-
basically
you
you're saying
researched
with
it. You researched
they pretty much
it.
did a CAT scan on the Earth, and underneath
Cat scan.
New York and the eastern United States, there's a mass of hot something moving underground, either magma or this, that, or the
I was
other.
gonna
but
say that's just
when I first started reading this, I thought it was
That's
talking
not
about
that
the strange
unusual.
object, the possible interstellar object that's getting closer to
Oh
Earth.
no, it's
We'll
the meat
discuss more
scene.
about what this could
Obviously,
be
it's
on my
the
Rumble
eldest
livestream
from
channel. I don't
Vampire the
really want to throw any theories
Masquerade.
out on here,
It's me.
but if you
I'm
want
the
to
hot
tune in,
blob, and I'm
comment
from New
Rumble
York.
below and
That's
check
true.
your
You
DMs. I'll
are
send
from
a
New
link to
York,
it.
and you
Once
are a
you get the
hot
link,
blob.
Make an account, follow me, and turn on live notifications so you know when I'm live.
God damn it! You're supposed to have longer videos than this. I know you've had longer ones. All right, hold on. What do you think he's going to be saying about earthquakes happening?
According to some reports, and this is not confirmed, but there's been 396 earthquakes in the last 30 days, stronger than 5.0 magnitude. Apparently, it is confirmed.
God,
by the
all
way,
the people
by
actually
Grok
commenting
on Twitter,
Rumble
saying
is
that
insane.
that aligns with the
Hey, Grok!
Kamchatka swarm, a period of intense seismic activity. Grok reports this is a record for a single month, exceeding the numbers seen after the
Grok?
2011 Tohoku
Grok?
earthquake. Anyway, shocking. Some believe this to be a new record. What is going on exactly? That and all the flooding,
Your
hailing,
normal seismic activity.
slushy
Just a
snowstorms
surge.
in areas that usually don't get snow, and the wildfires. I mean, what's going on? Now, of course, officially, this is just a.
I want to go
significant
see the
year for
fish thing. I want to see the fish thing. We'll do that one
I'll tell
after
you there's
this
another
one.
side of the story. I'm not going to be mentioning it here, though. Comment the word Rumble below.
God, are we actually gonna have to watch one of his fucking live streams at some point? Fish! Holy
Breaking,
shit, fish!
shocking, and unfortunate
Fish!
news. Salmon that is grown in a laboratory has now been approved by the FDA. And what
Laboratory?
you need to know about it includes a whole bunch of this, that, or the other lab-grown salmon. Now, look.
Okay.
I know someone would say, well, if you don't like lab-grown salmon...
I mean, there's lab-grown meats. Again, I've said this before. I don't think lab-grown meats is the substitute for like better farming practices. Just we have way more farms and like output of meat than we need. Just cut back to what we need. You don't gotta focus on some crazy capitalist loophole to make faux meats. I fucking hate it. Why is he
No,
shirtless?
I
He's a
think
white
that
dude in
we're
a baseball
going
cap. What'd you
backwards. I
expect?
think that the genetically modified
He's also
salmon
wearing a
that gets released
necklace.
into the environment, which has contaminated the wild salmon's DNA.
Frankenstein
This is one of the big things
food.
people are concerned about is the contamination that this has. Same thing with even GMO crops. Their pollen cross-pollinates organic crops and puts some of that patented DNA into them. And that's
Okay.
what Monsanto was going around doing. They did it in Saskatchewan, they did it
Monsanto.
in India, where they would sue farmers who had organic farms.
Oh,
a
I mean,
certain
he is
percentage of their
technically
field was
correct.
cross-pollinated with a patented genome sequence, which Monsanto.
Okay, I'm with him on this one. Monsanto can go fuck itself. Same with Lay's, with their like bullshit patented species and shit.
owned. Now, this is not about GMOs. This is about lab-grown salmon. What I can say is, I sure to heck hope
I was gonna
that
say,
it
it's
is
not a
labeled
fish.
so I know to avoid it. And if you think this
Just
has
say it's always
anything to do with
labeled.
the intentional control,
Have you
of
not
the
been-
food
just-
supply, and you're thinking maybe we've been exposed to some things growing
I was
up.
gonna say,
and
this
in
is the kind of
last
guy
recent
that has never
decades,
been to a fish
chemicals,
market in his life
preservatives,
because he
contaminants,
only eats
pesticides,
beef and
herbicides.
chicken.
You think it might be time to detox? Right now, chalk is giving away.
Shut the fuck up. There's Chalk. See, he's gonna fucking like talk nonsense about Chalk if I don't just skip it. Okay, here's the wood one I wanted to see. I was honestly hoping he was going to say something about like fish are getting smaller. It's a conspiracy. They're hiding all the big fish from us, or some dumb shit like that. As like, no, it's fucking our very shitty fishing practices. All right. Let's see how he's going to claim the difference in woods here. It's totally not the fact that the U.S. fucking cut down all of its old growth over the last couple centuries.
Before 2x4s, the difference between today's and 100 years ago. 100 years ago.
That also doesn't look like 100-year-old fucking wood, but okay.
This is old growth. This is new growth.
Chalk the Aztec god of rain, maybe.
You have basically
no,
a
it's
plantation, a
CHOQ.
monoculture of one
it's
tree,
pretentious.
And you have it so that that tree gets exposed to maximum sunlight. We know that they hear, let's thin out the forest, cut down the small stuff, or cut down the big stuff rather, and let the little stuff flourish and grow faster. And it does grow faster, but at the cost of weakened structural.
My wood is harder than this.
Shut up. Yeah, you cut down the big trees, the mother trees in a forest, and you will have faster growth.
Yummy lead paint go crunch.
One solution to this would be using
eggs and fertilizing them in a lab before transferring them to a farm. No. Lab grown meat in this case with the salmon, it's not. You're thinking of farm grown. That's a fish farm. Lab grown in this case is similar to like how they make like Impossible burgers and stuff. It's essentially grown and cultivated in a lab and like just gets to propagate. It was never part of an animal. Is what lab grown means. You're thinking of farm grown, farm raised, which again, if you've ever been to a fish market, everything is marked. You'll know if it's wild caught, you'll know if it's farm raised, you'll know if there's any special conditions, and more than likely, even the location it was caught, because that's part of the U.S. fisheries. It'll literally be on the labels of any fish and stuff that you buy, or you can ask the fishmonger, and he will usually be able to get the information for you. So you can actually buy fish smarter than you can buy beef, chicken, whatever. Slab of cells? Yes, pretty much.
Earth in homes, earth ships. We got to discuss. Now, if you want to hear a deep dive on this, because there is a total agenda against controlling the construction processes and the building code and everything, total control system behind that. If you want to hear about it, comment Rumble below and I'll send you a link.
Oh, okay. He's using...
Free to download, free to watch, and free speech. Comment Rumble, check your DMs, make an account, follow me there.
How many times are you going to say that, dude? I can't even like go back like I can on TikTok.
The difference between today's and 100 years ago.
Hey, sir. I have an answer for you. It's because we cut down all our good trees. We have almost no old growth compared to what it was before. Do I need to pull out? Hold on. American cypress swamp range. Pictures. Where is it? Where's the infographic? All right. Here's how far American cypress used to go. They covered this entire region. Actually, this is better. This is a little better. This is the picture that I wanted. The red is the more appropriate region. They spanned further up, but this was the dense region. This is where they made up the majority of the ecosystems. And then the green dots are where they are now. Can I zoom in a little bit? Single pixels. Like cut my childhood tree from my grandma's place. I'd fucking kill. I drove past the place I grew up in, the house that I talked to you about all the time. I drove past it like last week. I'm pretty sure is when it was. And they tore out both the tall straight pine that was in the front yard and the stump of its twin that had been there since we lived there. It used to have a twin. This was like the tallest, straightest pine I'd ever seen. But it had a twin that had been cut down because it rotted from the inside before we owned the house. But it was like waist high. It was waist high instead of just being at like ground level. And I realized when I drove past there the other day that both of those were gone. Oh, and they got rid of the tree that used to be outside my bedroom. There used to be a tree that was outside my bedroom window. And it was tall. It was tall and bushy. And they got rid of that too. And I was fucking pissed. Fucking pissed about it. All right, get out of here, dude. All right, let's see what he's gonna say about food.
You know, a lot of people roast India for hand bombing all this stuff. Honestly, you got a good microbiome. They're not really getting sick as much. My
is that
main concern is what they've done in the last few decades in changing, going from cooking with like ghee and butter to basically 90% seed oils now. And I'm not the only one pointing out
they
that
do
this is
still cook with ghee and ghee.
fact,
What are you
it's mostly
talking about?
other
Clarified
people from
butter?
India sending me videos saying, look, seed oils, they got them here too. Now, whether or not this has to do with Monsanto or other multinational corporations,
It's because seed oils are extremely affordable and come in
but we'll
bulk.
save this discussion
But yeah,
for
ghee is still
my
used
Rumble live stream channel,
for all the
which is free
dishes
to
that
download,
they.
free to watch, and free speech.
Shut the fuck up, dude. God, I hate his fucking sign off. Flexing childhood trauma. It's just trees, but I miss those trees. What happens if your genetic data is hacked? Nothing. They can't beam new genetic code into you. I'd be more concerned if somebody hacked it and like gave it to like medical or fucking insurance companies. They'd be like, oh, it looks like your family's predisposed to heart conditions. So just know, if you go in for anything that involves like heart conditions or anything, then that's just not going to be good. We're just not going to be able to pay for anything. We can't get you stents. You're not going to be able to get a pacemaker. If you have a heart attack, we're not going to cover the bill. Like he's a 70s gangster looking to fight. Hey, ready to rumble? What is this? Okay, hold on.
Is it the end of the world? No, honey. It's the end of the illusion.
Which illusion? The illusion of the American dream?
As people become more aware of what's going on, that it may feel like it's coming to a head and it's going downhill and it's going to be a total storm. I think that
Christian's last book is basically all about that sort of thing.
A new
DNA is sold, not hacked.
Being revealed about all these things.
Yeah.
And we're witnessing the process.
So my genetic update hasn't completed. Yeah.
Actually being
yes,
restored.
I'm sorry.
And I know it may
I'm
not
sorry,
seem
you're
like
not going to be able to get an update for your genetic code.
Remember, belief alone makes it so. Millions of us say we're winning. It channels through the ether. We manifest it. Keep in mind too, many different timelines. We'll talk more about that.
I don't like this guy. I really don't like this. Oh God, what the fuck is this? The Lost Kingdom of Guj.
Well, I just found out that there's a lost kingdom of Guj in Tibet. Altitude is 13.
All right, hold on a second. Okay, Western Tibet. Dynastic kingdom in Western Tibet, centered around present-day Zanda. Various points in history after the 10th century AD. Vast area including southeastern Zanskar, Kanir district, and Spiti Valley, either by conquest or as tributes, are located in Saparang in the Sutlej Valley, not far from Mount Kailash. Okay. Okay, what do you think he's gonna say, though? Is that some whack-ass 40k orc belief shits? Yes, manifest it, nerd. I'm taking bricks from the walls. No, my fucking bricks! Because you have to be asleep to believe? Ugh. It's part of their genome trademarked by a company? That's gross. I feel like no fucking... There's no way a country would let a company own somebody else's genome.
13,000 feet above sea level. What do we know about this ancient civilization? What did they eat? What did they do? What did they carve into stone?
Eat?
There's so much to learn about this world.
Maybe they
Although
grew
I'm
it?
hesitant to accept generally the official thing, official explanation.
What the fuck are you going to say, dude?
The pyramids are still saying that it was with whips and chains and forced labor to make those. I'm not buying it. We do deep dives like this all the time on my Rumble live stream channel because it's free speech. I've already been in trouble.
Wait, how did we get to Egypt? How did we get to Egyptian pyramids?
Country that the official story said that there are no pyramids there, so I'm not going to talk about that. But we do talk about that on my Rumble channel. If you want to tune in, comment Rumble below and check your DMs. I'll send you a link to it. Once you get the link, make an account, follow me, and turn on live notifications so you know when I'm live.
Do white men really not think civilizations could carve out rock on mountains or carry stones places? I need to get a fucking PNG of like an Egyptian boat, just so anytime we do this now, anytime's like, I'm not buying it. I don't know how they move those multi-ton fucking blocks. Just a PNG, turn on boat. some white men don't think. You're right. I don't think he has a podcast, but worse, he has a Rumble. Which I don't know why he doesn't have his link to his Rumble. That's a vote. I'm looking to see if there's other ones that seem interesting. Is this motherfucker wearing a tinfoil hat?
Okay, so this was a few days ago. In Italy, snowing, hailing, and flooding the same day in August. Many people are wondering.
In Italy?
This is completely normal. Of course, it's abnormal in terms of if you look at weather patterns, it doesn't happen often. But
I was gonna say, is it the Alps? Is it northern Italy?
In the last month, people have concerns.
Why lock it behind the wall? Wouldn't you want it to be publicly accessible?
On my Rumble live stream channel, which is free to watch, free to download.
Alps getting heckin' windy.
Go and check your DMs. I'll send you a link to it.
He says rain, snow, and flooding as if all three of those things aren't completely related to each other. Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet it's the Alps. It's almost certainly the Alps.
Turn on live notifications so you know when I'm live. Okay.
The funny thing too is he's wearing the tinfoil hat in this video, and you can see he wears it in a bunch of others. So he probably made these in the same day. Mexico makes biometric identifier mandatory for all citizens. That does not sound true at fucking all. Why are things expensive? He's very anti-pesticides, which I'm totally down with. Wait. Single women own millions more homes than single men in the US, and the gap is only growing? That's kind of funny. Hold on. What do you think he's going to say about a rally in the UK? Forced digital ID?
Breaking news.
Send them home is what they were chanting.
Now in the UK, with protesters chanting "Send them home."
Okay.
This is about the topic of migration, and people are polarized over there.
I wish I had the video of the guy that's like pretending to be a UK guy, and he is basically just like, I don't want no one here. I don't want absolutely no one. I want to be alone.
All over Europe right now, in many different European countries, including Spain and Portugal. Yeah, comment your thoughts. We're going to do a deep dive on
what the fuck are they? Why are they pushing in
on my Rumble live stream channel, which is total free speech, free to download, and free to watch? Comment Rumble below, and I'll send you a link to it. Once you.
Why do you have to send them links? Why can't you just be like, check out my Rumble at the end and be done with it? Okay. Oh wow, due to your political beliefs, he's. Okay, hold on. What did they...
People in the Dark Ages were uneducated and dirty peasants. The Dark Ages. I can't get over, dude. I got to go to Europe and see some of these freaking buildings, man, or wherever else they are. I know there's some really cool ones.
Okay.
All over the world, but specifically
what are you going to say? I mean, that's not to mention... That's the backside of Notre Dame, right? That's the buttresses of Notre Dame on the back in the bottom left picture. Didn't Notre Dame take like hundreds of years to completely finish? Like some of these, I think there's one cathedral that took like 800 years in France. They designed these high on drugs and shit. They took decades and thousands of lives to build. Yeah.
In Cologne, Germany.
And some of the greatest architects of the various generations.
We aren't really building today. Now, some people think there's a pretty significant...
Because they were expensive and all the money was funneled to the wealthy so that they could just take the money from the general population.
Here, though, due to censorship purposes. If you want to hear that side of the story, comment Rumble below, and I'll send you a link to my live stream channel on Rumble.
Wait, did he say that? No, I don't think he said that, right?
Comment Rumble, check your DMs, make an account there, follow me, and turn on live notifications.
Tartarian buildings?
People in the Dark Ages were uneducated and dirty peasants.
Hold on.
The Dark Ages. I can't get over, dude. I got to go to Europe and see some of these freaking buildings, man.
Okay. I was hoping there was going to be more biology ones from what I heard, but Rockefeller controlling the government. Yes, we know rich people control the government. And then yes, you should be self-sufficient. I completely agree. Build a garden, kids. From ground up. That's fine. That's not that unusual. That's been part of genetics for the longest time. Fanning! 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 Welcome in, Raiders! The chat forced Vanny to go eat raid. Listen, going to eat's a good thing, and I'm also kind of hungry, but we're only 2 hours in, and I want to go for 4 hours. Imagine raids, not gonna lie, but welcome in, Raiders! How was your stream, Vanny? Those of you from over on the cow side of the field who don't know me, my name is Marn. I'm the Ringleader Dark Carnival. I usually play games that are dark, spooky, and scary, or just yap my fucking gab away on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Today we're doing conspiracies because I wanted to yell at people. We're checking out a page called, I believe it's Shane Truth _vibes. Let's see, can I just pick one of these? No, Shane Vibes _truth. I had it backwards. I ended up making a fucking Instagrams for the sole purpose of being able to come see his page and probably in the future be able to go see other ones. Bugsy Monkey, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Did you have a good stream? Did you have a good time? What trouble did you get into? All your oil paints and drink all your paint thinner? Not my paint thinner. Hold on. Where's my... What does it say you were doing? Oh, you were just yapping too. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. But, Vanny, if you need to go eat, I totally understand. Thank you so much for the raid. Go take care of yourself. Go get some nuns. On the Paranormal Twinks. Oh, we can go look at the Twinks Instagram. Oh, no. Oh, no, you're right. Oh, I ended up making an Instagrams over on the Instagrams. Oh, dear God, what the fuck is this?
Did you know there's a whole group of people who believe that?
No. Those are just 2 towers. Those are the bell towers, dude.
These ancient buildings were
Ancient?
effectively a form of
Do
energy
these count as
generation
ancient?
with certain components
Old?
they have
Yes.
on top
Ancient?
of them and the geometric patterns and whatnot that they're formed in. Now, I know it's almost like a...
That's, I say the Twinkstagram. Yes, the Twinkstagram.
Polarizes people.
To
But some of
Twinkstagram.
that stuff is trippy, man, I will say. However, you can't really boldly
There's
claim
wires
something
there.
like that, at least not on this app. If you want to hear a deep dive on this whole situation, comment the word rumble below.
Fuck off, dude. Also, yes, for those of you who just came in, at the end of his videos, he always does comment Rumble because apparently he streams on Rumble every day. An elementary school education, please. The thing is, I don't know if he believes it. It looks insane because it is insane. But I cannot imagine somebody looking at those churches, which...
Did you know there's a
Hold on,
whole
get your
group of
head out
people
of the
who
way,
believe-
dude. Those are all French cathedrals, aren't they? I wouldn't believe it's a grift. It could be. I mean, he also has a sponsorship with some company named Chalk, CHOK, where he basically tries to... He piddles like Alex Jones, if that makes sense. What is this, Fox News?
Breaking news. According to sources, the Grand Canyon mega fire, they're calling it now, is creating its own weather system.
This was 2 days ago?
A new term is spreading.
We're only
Mega
2
fire.
days back.
Blaze is so massive, they generate their own weather systems. This one sparked by lightning on July 4th. Now over 112,000 acres have been scorched. After
Flooded the
tripling in
buildings
size
and we
in
get
3 days.
power?
40
I
mile an
guess.
hour
Do we
winds,
flood the
lightning,
town?
Storm clouds from the fire itself. What do you think?
We need to turn it into a bowl of water?
I can tell you there's a pretty good chance it's not what's being purported by the mainstream right now.
What?
If you want to hear the other side of the story uncensoredly, comment the
On
word
July
rumble below, and
4th?
I'll
It was
send you a
probably a
link to my
fucking
Rumble live stream
firework.
channel. It's free to download, free to watch.
To make it mandatory for all supermarkets to give away the unsold food to the needy? Let's go! I like that. I'm curious. Hold on, he's wearing his tinfoil hat again. I want to know what he has to say.
France became the first country to make it mandatory for all its supermarkets to give away the unsold food to the needy.
I don't know if this is actually
That's insane
true.
Because if you knew how
Is it?
many
Does anybody know? Do we have any
billions of
French
pounds of
people?
food waste
Any
that we
Frenchers in chat?
generate here and thrown into a dumpster.
Uncensoredly.
You can watch videos dumpster diving, people finding whole pallets of blueberries, lettuce, food. Billions of pounds of food goes to the dump.
Yeah.
Which isn't even
Correct.
It's not going into a compost. And we need total reform. Now,
Oh
that
my
is
God,
one
he's in
problem.
public. He's
Another
wearing
problem
the...
is the
Oh my
quality
God,
of
he
the
wears
food
the
itself.
hat in
I understand,
public.
obviously, someone needy, they're going to eat whatever, of course.
Oh my
But
God.
thing is that we should be pushing
Oh
forward
my
on
God.
getting the food supply to be healthier and to be safer and to be better for us, especially in the
Okay,
last few
agreed.
years when we're
Okay,
talking about
okay, we can agree on that.
GMOs and pesticides and all this, but it's getting worse. It's not getting better. We need to make it better. I mean, I will say there's more organic farms today probably than 10 years ago.
Well, yeah.
So that is one
Probably.
metric of it. But the conventional food, the quality of the soil, the quality of the nutrients in there, or the lack thereof.
Okay,
is
that
shocking.
looked like he's
Now, if you
under
think
like
it
a
might be time
porch
to
or
boost
something,
your
or an
DNA and
awning.
detox all these crazy freaking chemicals. Right now, Chalk is giving away free product to help.
Shut up, dude. I just realized he started talking about the chalk thing again. Oh, Christ. Fucking. Oh, God, is he. Oh, God, he knows about Milo.
Okay, so get this. We have a
Debunking.
situation unfolding where the weatherman, almost 3 million subscribers, is going to be debunking
The weatherman?
in a massive 2-hour video. We're going to be live streaming this tonight on my Rumble if you want to tune in. It's all about debunking. And we're going to hear the
Oh my
other side
God,
of the
not
story. You should
debunking.
trust
I'm a
the
Google
science
debunker.
on this one, man.
Google
I've done more
debunkers, guys.
scientific, analyses.
You wanna know
Anyway,
why?
comment
Because
in
it's
Rumble
not
below.
hard to
Essentially,
get
you do not
proper
wanna miss
information.
Tonight's live stream. Once you comment Rumble,
Chalk company get chalk on
make an
these
account,
nuts?
follow
No,
me
it's
there,
the
and turn on
shitty
live
powders that
notifications so
he
you know
tries
when
to
we're
claim will
live
like
streaming.
detox
get
you,
this.
and it's basically a
We have
miracle drug.
Situation unfolding where the weatherman, almost 3 million subscribers, is
He
gonna
has
be
less
debunking
unhinged.
me in a massive 2-hour video.
It's a very good video. Y'all should go watch it. Let me see. Anything else? Anything actually interesting? What the fuck is that?
Do you guys remember this strange video?
That's fucking Miley being weird. Yeah, fucking people fucking with him. Do I sniff it? Do you sniff what? Oh, so bootleg cocaine? Honestly, I wish, but no, absolutely not. But let me see here. Come on, give me something good, buddy. Virtual check-in? Okay. Painting the Federal Reserve on fire with gallows fall in front of the Federal Reserve? Ah, let's go. Connect our skin with the surface of the earth? Nothing. Literally nothing. Wait, what the fuck is this?
Okay.
Demons are highly sensitive to bell frequencies. While the single chime can heal a human, it inflicts immense pain on demons. It's a bell. What? With irons adorned with bells is an ancient method of containment? Man, people really do just make up whatever they want on the internet, don't they? I don't even want to watch this one. Take it away. Go away. What is this? Coffee beans is loaded with microplastics. Yeah, fucking because most of it is made out of plastic and it degrades over time. I too get overstimulated by loud noises. And it's not like the magic time. I just rammed this bell into his head. Just donk, 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 donk. Spaghetti. Wait, PFA's forever chemicals into each noodle? What? I'm so confused.
Whoa, look at this.
It's almost like some people that make circuit boards can kind of just do whatever design they want for the hee-hoos and make it into... Well, hold on, I know what we need. Where's the Miku circuit board? No, I don't want the motherboard. Some shit like this. But no, there's another one I remembered. Oh, well, I guess I can't find it. Or some dumb shit like this. Like, it can be anything. It can be anything, my guy.
Board? Ancient temple in some country.
Every noodle's that less negative 100 years of lifespan dies instantly eating a bowl of spaghetti.
My question is, you've seen the picture of cities from up in the sky, and they look kind of like circuit boards. We know our energy may or may not be being harvested. Shapes
are a thing that exist, buddy. City planning makes shapes. It makes it easier to get around when you make fucking triangles and square-shaped blocks. What in biology would admit the miracle of removing microplastics from the blood?
What's going on?
What?
We do deep dives on stuff like this. On
Good
my
luck
free
removing
speech,
microplastics
free
from your
download for you to
fucking
watch
blood. They're
Rumble
there
live stream
forever.
channel if you want to tune in.
They're
Comment
already
free
in
below,
your
check the DMs,
brain.
I'll send you a link to it. Once you get the link,
They're in your brain, chat. The plastics are in your brain.
Whoa, look at
Oh, that's it? That was all it was? A clock from a movie. AI age verification. What the fuck is that? Also. Ah, yes.
Okay, so this is crazy. It's probably just
I think we
coincidence,
saw
Ancient
something
cultures
similar
seem
to
have
this
had no
before, didn't we?
contact with each other to depict the same thing.
Cremated all my microplastics to be melted down into
Nothing to see
a
here, right?
single
Well, if you
Lego.
look closely, the Mexico one, you can see it most pronounced. That is a being with 1, 2, 3,
Yes.
4, 5, 6, 7 serpent, like snakes coming out of
Are
his
you,
neck.
are you sure those are snakes? Are you sure it's not supposed to be some deity or monster that has 7 heads? Okay.
The one in India, also strange, and then Russia. What could this possibly be? What do
Siberian
they all
glyphs?
Think about here. By the way, I went to Chichen
That's
Itza
Steve.
in
I like
Mexico,
Steve. Steve looks
and
really
I talked to
handsome.
the tour guide there and the elders who were there. It is like not even a theory in their culture that there was serpent gods or serpent beings that they interacted with.
That's called mythology. In regions that have snakes. Most religions, especially old religions, had humanized, or not humanized, personified many of like the local animals. And species of snakes are one of the most fucking prevalent on the globe. Where are you going with this?
Reptilians. We'll talk more
You're
about
gonna-
this on another
he's
platform
gonna-
because it's going to get into a little bit of a hairy situation.
Shut the fuck! God damn it! God damn it! Okay, I like Philip Zebo doing all of his stuff on TikTok, but this dude fucking, of course, Palantir. This we can agree on. Palantir is bad. But I went, what the fuck is that? Gilgamesh Resurrection Protocol? Oh no.
This is just a reminder that there's a theory that's
That's a
definitely
fucking.
not true.
Oh, hold on. We got ad break. It's fish time, kids. All right. All right. Let me get the music. I'm actually going to run to the bathroom on this one because I didn't last commercial break. So I'll be back in just a second. I will leave y'all with the music. Don't burn anything down. Just do some fishing and we'll figure out. We'll see what this fucking Gilgamesh thing is. Honestly, if Gilgamesh comes back and just like, I don't know, like wipes out the planet or something, I'd be kind of fine with it. Sure. Whatever. Wait. Is anyone going to tell him that Gilgamesh is fiction? Was no one going to tell Shane that Gilgamesh is a fictional story? One of the oldest fictional stories? Okay. Oh shit, Ordain, you're right. You're right. I didn't reset the scoreboard. Oh no. Oh no. Do I reset it now? Do I need to reset it now? Or do we just call like this month, last month, and this month void? May as well. Here, let's check the leaderboard after this really quick. Well, I think I'll just have to call last month void because y'all been playing a lot the last like 5 days. And it's Sunstar again. Wow. Wow, that point difference. All right, so let's go reset it. Damn it, Sunstar! Damn it! But all my fish points, it resets every month, Beef. How much do I fucking fish, man? Listen, I guess Sunstar's just built different. All right. I did not grab the scroll bar. New leaderboard. Save and close. All right, give me a second. God damn it, Fable. God damn it! Yeah, it was a 12k point difference. If it wasn't void, it's the same either way, so that's true. As long as Sunstar keeps winning. Okay, yeah, it did reset. I just wanted to make sure. All right. Wait a second, I just realized something. It's not on fucking shuffle. That's why it felt like things were going in order on my playlist. Duh. All right. Oh, I have an extra tab open for some reason. What the hell? There's a whole extra window here. Okay. All right. What the fuck is this going to be about, dude?
True. Many people believe it, though.
Hillary Clinton was very interested in it for some reason. What?
2003 of a ancient red-haired giant found in Iraq. Now, again, official stories. This is completely fake, but it has made people ponder for.
Yes, that's fake. The face is made out of plastic. And that's a fucking mop yarn used for the beard.
A very long time.
That's a completely different picture. That's not the same fucking thing. The crown is different. The beard hair is different. There's no like gold on his chest.
Watching this fake video on my Rumble live stream channel. If you want to tune in, it's quite shocking how well they were able to fake it. If you want to tune in,
why
comment
are
Rumble
all the
below and check your DMs. There's a whole group of people who
comments?
think that the war in Iraq was about something very different.
David and Goliath?
Or democracy. Comment Rumble.
The war in Iraq, yeah, it was not about democracy. You want to know what it was really about? Power. Power. Oil. Manhole explodes in Brooklyn. Oh boy, gas go boom. Yeah, that'll do it. That's sewer gas, baby.
Explosion in Brooklyn.
Somebody dropped their fucking cigarette down there.
Just posted on Citizen app.
Citizen app.
Within the past 10 minutes, there was a firefighter standing right nearby because the FDNY was on the scene investigating reports of
why were you recording?
carbon monoxide levels.
Why were you recording?
Covers blue. There were no injuries.
Okay, so this is insane. A lot of people are complaining that the infrastructure,
how my manhole feels after some Taco Bell,
has not kept up to speed with the amount of more people living in these cities. Most cities are still, every time it rains, sewage is flowing into the water table, the rivers, the lakes, etc.
Okay, yeah.
There could be more being done to make our cities better, cleaner, and safer.
Agreed.
But seemingly, we're going the opposite despite paying a ton in taxes. I can tell you that there is a shocking agenda behind this that may or may not be completely intentional. If you want to hear that,
it's definitely intentional. You know what? This isn't a conspiracy. This is just a man who knows the problems with his city right here. This is fine. Okay, I like that. I was curious why the manhole cover exploding was relevant, if he was going to say that there's lizard people living in the sewer. But that's fine. I like it's very weird to see him be like, yeah, grow your own foods, be self-reliant. People are like, your government is intentionally trying to screw you over, blah, blah, blah. And then he fucks it by going the whole fucking hog and falling into literally everything that comes up. Copy pasta with some photos, correct. It was photos of, I believe, an art exhibit. Mannequins from an art exhibit, I'm pretty sure. I think done in Germany or Russia. Yeah, the Russian sleep experiment copy or creepy pasta. And then the Iranian or Iraqian giants, red-haired giants that supposedly basically a like was it Green Beret or was it like Special Forces? Navy SEALs? I don't fucking remember. Navy SEALs or something went in and ended up like fighting and killing a giant and bringing it back to the US is supposedly the story. iGrok, new Apple products? No, they would just end up making their own like crazy Siri. I don't want to click the one that's just him. Oh boy, crop circles.
Okay, so this is crazy. July 2025 crop circles. None of these have been confirmed. They could all be fake.
Huh? What? Huh? I'm confused. Wait, is he insinuating that these just like appeared?
But you have seen some of those videos they've done.
I'm
where they go out
flabbergasted.
to crop circles with radiological meters and testing devices, and they find strange amounts of bizarre radiation. There's no tracks, like human footprints. Of course, some crop
who's
circles
they?
have been completely faked. We know that, but some of
Do
them
Siri
have
useless but can use
extremely strange
ChatGPT?
origins and anomalies surrounding their inception. In
It could be
fact,
mowers.
in
It could.
documentary
You can
Live,
also
they
literally
talk
just
about
do
a
this
lot
by
of the crop
stomping it
circles that are
down.
found around the world.
You can stomp
Seem
corn
to be
stalks down and they will lay down
blueprints for some type
flats
of
and you can
energy
make designs like this with them.
Very interesting, showing the flower of life and these Fibonacci sequences pressed into crops.
These are just, that's
There's
a
so much
fucking
more to
morning
this
star.
world,
That's a
and so many
spider.
mysteries to this world
That's
that we
just
know.
a circle
And I
with
think what
lines
massively
through it that are
helps
probably
us navigate
vehicle
this
lines.
strange, mysterious world is making sure that our consciousness is calibrated and that our pineal gland is decalcified. I wanted to do
What in the spirit science hell did I just hear? What? Our pineal gland is decalcified and our consciousnesses are what? Time to merit art in the fields. Oh my God, yes. Do me art in cornfields and then take pictures of it and post it to conspiracy boards. I want to be a conspiracy theory among conspiracy theorists. That would be fun. Oh my God. Oh my God. Chat, what if we as a community for 3.0 worked on Big PP and corn? No, what if we worked on some sort of like, I would say unfiction, but unfiction isn't the word. What if we tried to start a fucking, not like maybe a conspiracy theory or maybe like a weird, what do you call those things? Like basically sort of as like a promo thing, but more of like as a for fun thing to see how the internet reacts to it. We'd probably get together with like a bunch of the main community members and we would work something out and like plan stuff out wherever people live. Oh, we could do it. It'd be very fun. It may be a little expensive. Trailer? Mass delusion? ARG? Kind of ARG, yeah. Yeah, I would say ARG is probably what you could go with. Oh, it would be interesting. It'd be very interesting. All right, I'll save that in the back pocket for some points because it sounds like it could be fun. Hold on, does this keep going or did it restart?
that Chalk is giving away free
God damn. Motherfucker, what is this? Ball.
the San Diego Sphere from 2014. Listen to this audio.
That just looks like Sputnik.
I could see the object floating almost as if it was in water. It would rise up and down just slightly. And
I have never heard of this. Man-made balloon.
Faintly, some windows or.
I mean, it could be a weather balloon.
Center of this sphere.
Then that's a lot of detail that does not come from that other camera.
2 or 3 minutes, so I thought I'd take a chance, run inside, grab my camera.
With the Blair Witch Project? Yeah, kind of like the Blair Witch Project.
And started taking photographs.
But we'll figure out, like, we'll organize, we'll see who's like where in the community. We'll probably use the Discord.
On this particular story.
And we'll figure out who's where in what world and what type of things that we could do in your area.
Really going too much.
And if any of y'all own a farm, does anybody own a farm? Please tell me some of y'all own a farm. Do not the chalk. We're not the chalk.
In 2014. Could be this, that, or the other. But many people are wondering if this was a genuine sighting. Of what, though? To me, this looks more military than it would be genuine.
It does look like crude military.
World entity. Now we see all the major mainstream platforms.
Say we could do other. You can also do small things. We can figure out small things. Just do it in important areas, places where people would notice it. Typically,
a major breaking news story, possibly in the coming months. Likely, they say by 2027. We're going to find out. If you want to hear the other side of that story, this developing, shocking situation where we could see aliens.
Does that count? No.
The mainstream. Comment
no, I'm just thinking if anybody owns land, because then we can do big things. If somebody owns like a bunch of open land, then we could do some pretty big things.
Turn on live notifications so you know when I'm live. The
military testing shit and not telling people looks at the Roswell crash. That was a fucking weather balloon. Chat, if you didn't know, again, I've said this a lot recently. The Roswell crash was a weather balloon that was being used to test the radiation effects of nuclear bombs they were testing in the desert. It just crashed and they didn't want word what it was getting out and that they were doing those nuclear tests. So they just let people make whatever conspiracy theories they wanted for it. It's their own free cover-up. New York floods. What is this?
So this is an oscillating fan from the 1800s. That
is
still works.
I don't think that's from the 1800s, bud. I think it's been like tanned, or at least like stained. Stain's the word, to look like it's older.
1800s. And
this thing's way too smooth to be from the 1800s.
And all basically the appliances and electronics we get just don't seem to last. Now, if you've been paying attention, you know there's something called.
It also has the fucking.
They plan for the thing you buy to become obsolete, so that you need to buy a new one.
Correct.
Now, of course, that's profit.
Patinaed.
But also, there's two other agendas.
And is the tourist trap even better? Tourist traps are a good place to put it.
After you buy it once, so it keeps you in the system.
I could probably get hectic to go drop things in New York City.
Technologies that are coming out, they eventually want every single electronic device.
This is a good idea. I like this idea.
So I like this idea. They don't want you buying something now that'll last you 30.
I know a bunch of people in major cities across the U.S. This could be fun.
Now, the
this could be really fun.
New stuff we have to buy to replace the old stuff, and most.
Patina, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Chinese drywall, all types of new appliances, couches with flame retardants, and all this stuff is polluting the air in our homes. And in fact, our homes' air, even if you're in a major dense city,
I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit. Also, Widowmaker, thank you for the 5 stream streak. Holy shit!
And the microplastic. Now, if you think it could be a good time to start detoxing your system.
Nope. He's gonna talk about chalk. All right, what the fuck is this have to do with subways? Is he muted? Audio's just not coming through. I think the. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, all right, hold on. Pipe burst, didn't it?
Another state of emergency declared.
There we go. I was like, what the fuck?
Some say it's just been a rainy year. Others know about certain patents and they wonder if some of those are being used.
Patents?
That's about as far as I'm going to take it here. If you want to hear a deep dive on this whole thing, comment, rumble below.
Half that was muted.
I'll send you a link to my live stream channel. It's free speech, free to download, and free to watch.
Insane. Oh, I hate Secret of Water. Prince Nouveau was up in 1999. Wait, what is this?
This was from Japan, and I believe it was 2011.
Why is it tsunami Japanese?
To come sweep through this whole neighborhood.
When was this? January 1st, 2024? Okay. That was recent storm surges? Yeah. Wait. People's inability to assess the situation and move with purpose in the face of obvious and escalating crisis never ceases to amaze me. At the 11 to 15 seconds into the video, it's clear this is going to get dangerous. In 15 to 20 seconds, the threat immediately escalates to life and death. 40 seconds in is now a disaster, and the man and woman are still standing there completely inert. Yeah, that's I guess, I don't know how prevalent the freeze part of fight, flight, freeze, what is it, plan, etc., etc., etc. is, but that definitely looked like freeze. If I saw that much water gushing into like my family plot, my ass is getting on the roof. I'm getting on the goddamn roof. Freeze fawn? Yeah, fawn. Is that it? We just gotta get...
Did you know that you can go on Wikipedia and type in tsunami bomb?
Huh?
And there's a bomb that they're trying to make tsunamis. It was feasible, but it was never developed and never been used.
Buddy, you can't go talking about that tsunamis or bombs are caused by bombs. And then all the way up here, again, this is only like 4 days ago. Where is it? Where is it? Talk about... Oh my God, it's all the way at the top, isn't it? This, where there's just hundreds of earthquakes in the Ring of Fire. It's insanity. Insanity. All right, where the fuck were we? Justin Trudeau? Okay. Wait, what is this? Chocolate milk?
Breaking news, chocolate milk is more effective than sports or energy drinks for athletic recovery and performance, a recent study revealed.
I don't believe that for a goddamn second.
And this may be
This
true.
is made up.
Even
This is made
for
up as
the
fuck.
ultra-pasteurized, ultra-processed chocolate that people use, cacao, which usually is full of heavy metals and pesticides.
Wait, is he going to say
and
raw milk?
Cacao is supposed to be an ancient superfood, but it's been largely inverted in today's world.
Yeah, with the amount of sugar that we put into it. I mean, superfood is a fucking buzzword.
Right now, Chalk is giving away free
Shut up.
$100 bags.
No, get that shit out of here. $100 bags? That bag he was holding was $100? This is that. They're separate videos. They're completely different. They live in a vacuum, apparently. Thank you, Western nations, for sacrificing your economies to save the planet.
Breaking.
Okay. Hold on. Our world in data? Where's this from, dude? I was gonna say, this doesn't exactly... I mean, it doesn't bode well. I would need more data on this. There's too much, too little here. I need more. I need more data. This one chart is not enough to convince me of anything. Yeah, I said $100 bag. You know what?
News. Many people are wondering how advanced we are when 2,000 years ago this is what things looked like, and now we have.
I mean, yeah. I was just say, architecture was fucking old architecture is fucking great. We've gotten lazy, dude. We've gotten lazy.
But they had a few things right, that's for sure. The question.
That's it. That's all. I'm with the man. Bring back Roman baths. Make men again. Make them go to the public bath. Earthquake machine. Okay, there's your connection. Earthquake projector. You're using art of a card from a game? Come on, dude. Give me what is this? What is this?
This is in Helsinki, Finland, or was. And as you can see, the rural kind of shanties that people are living in. And then this behemoth behind it.
Yes.
You'd think if it was possible to build something like this today. I know someone's going to say they don't build this way anymore because it's expensive.
Yes.
You know what kind of tourism? You know that one of the most beautiful castles in the whole world in freaking Cologne, Germany, attracts millions of tourists a year. It's a huge boost to the economy. Something like this would pay for itself.
Hi, Wizlock.
Why aren't we building these? is the technology
What
lost?
happens in the bathhouse stays in the bathhouse.
Why are we building steel and concrete boxes in place of this?
Because fucking the people that make things are cheap and shit's expensive. That's it. Listen, if I had millions upon millions of dollars, I would like to build a massive fucking mansion too.
And hold on.
Granted, this
while
is
we're
the
at it,
cathedral.
why are we spraying neurotoxic, infertility-causing chemicals on the food and water supply? And if you don't think that's
Infertility-causing.
Dicot. See what they're spraying in the U.S. now. Is this all just a coincidence, or is something going on? All I can
Oh,
say
I
is
don't
if
think
you
these
knew the
things are
truth,
necessarily
the full-blown
connected to
truth
each
about
other,
what's
but
going on with our
okay.
DNA right now, and our blood cells, which 90% of us have these chemicals inside, you would want to be detoxing. And
In the
right now,
ocean for
Choc is
bath
giving away
time?
free
Oh, shut
product
up,
to
shut
help
up,
people
shut up!
detox.
Get out! I keep like click Illuminati card game. That's where he got the card art for this earthquake projector. Terrorist nuke. Well, that hasn't happened yet. Demands removal of ramp. Beached whales after tsunami. That's not that unheard of. What do you, hold on, I want to know what he's going to claim about this.
A whole bunch of whales, at least 4, have beached themselves in Japan. After the earthquake...
Yes, he has a literal tinfoil hat and it is shaped like a 3-sided pyramid.
Why are these whales beaching themselves? Now, the mainstream suggests that they're blinded from the vibrations of this freaking
After
earthquake.
a tsunami, you know, when a bunch of ocean water goes
100%.
inland.
That's not the whole story. The whole story of why the whales beach themselves is connected to the reason the earthquake happened in the first place. What caused the earthquake?
Are you going to say it's an
may have
earthquake
also caused
bomb?
the whales to
Earthquake
beach themselves.
projector?
And it's not what you think. If you want to hear this fully uncensoredly, because I'd love to tell you fully with all
It's
the patents and
plate
everything and prove it,
tectonics!
but this is not the app for it. Comment the word rumble below and I'll send you a link to my live stream
Eat
channel.
pants. Eat pants. God, every time I see it. Jesus Christ, dude. Okay. Massive explosion rocks Horizon biofuels plant in Nebraska. Okay. Again, I want to see NASA reporting that it just discovered super Earth. Okay, that is years old. Wait. Used to have a canopy which led to giant life forms. Oh, good lord. Okay,
Listen to
sure.
This, and just know, none of this is confirmed, of course. This is
It just
not
looks around.
a fact.
His shirt's
Just for
gone, the
entertainment
tinfoil
purposes
hat's
only.
on.
Listen to this.
Sometimes in the amber, which is tree sap,
Motherfucking Kenthoven! Jesus fucking Christ. I hate this man with a passion. Chat, does anybody know who Kenthoven is? Anyone by chance? I was raised on Kenthoven. BB, please no. Please no. You can't do this to me. Hide them grippers. Ugh. BB, no. BB, no. Okay, for anybody who doesn't know who Kenthoven is the young Earth creationist. He's basically his entire life, he has constantly argued against evolution, any scientific teachings. If you've ever heard a creationist refer to animals as having kinds, he's one of the people that essentially popularized that term for what are animals. He wholeheartedly believes that Noah's Ark 100% happened. He protects child predators. He does do that. He also went to jail, but a lot of his followers and people that like him claim that it was a conspiracy to cover up the things that he knew. But he went to jail because he was a tax evader. Bitch, get good, loser. Don't get caught next time. Not really. You should pay your taxes, kids. Pay your taxes. But VTuber joke. I don't pay taxes. What's the word? Kinds. Like a kind of a thing. They always group together kinds as if it's like every cat on the planet is a kind. Every kind of canine is a kind. Every type of a horse is a kind. Which is really stupid because that means he also believes in hyper evolution. That after the flood, the 2 horses that were on the ark went out and fucked so hard that they made hundreds of species of equine, which is insane. God says poof abracadabra animals. No, he actually tries to purport like hyper evolution. He doesn't believe in evolution in general until it comes to his thing, where the horse is fucked so hard that they essentially just made every other species. Mail fraud, contempt, and domestics. Guy's a piece of work. He's a piece of shit. And I recognize his voice everywhere. I want to call COVID the C word right now, but I also don't want to get banned from chat. You won't get banned for calling somebody a cunt in chat if we allow it. If it makes sense. If you're calling a fellow chatter a cunt or a person I know, then we'll have a talk.
Them are 50% more oxygen than we have today.
Yes. Oh, you're using.
There's a boy.
He's using science from about a period before he believes actually existed. My goodness, never would have thought.
What if it was 35%?
Granted,
if the atmosphere
it was bugs.
Was 35%,
the bugs were huge.
And double the air pressure. Just breathing
would
be exciting. Dr. Kimori in Japan
define exciting
tomato plants with filtered sunlight. He used a mirror system to collect sunlight and send it through fiber optic cable to his plants.
That sounds like an interesting experiment.
Ultraviolet light or X-rays, only sunlight, pure light. Okay.
Okay, a very strong ozone layer.
Tall and produced 900 tomatoes.
Because monkey is this Ken Hovind? It is fucking Ken Hovind, Kono. We're watching a conspiracy channel and he's just letting a Ken Hovind video play in the background, and you already missed my fucking conniption about it.
They moved it to a shopping center, built scaffolding.
Yes, the felon evangelist.
They said this thing might produce 10,000 tomatoes. It ended up growing over 40 feet tall and produced 15,000 tomatoes off one plant.
Yeah. That's like a perfect atmosphere for it.
Baseball size. I think maybe the whole earth was that way.
No. No. Kins. Yeah, old growth plants and stuff, sure. Old growth plants, likely. However, not everything can survive the exact same way under a high oxygen atmosphere.
I think it had not only a canopy to filter out the radiation.
He thinks the tree canopy was what filtered the radiation?
It had increased air
or
pressure,
is he going to say the dome?
CO2,
is he going to say the firmament?
Code, better soil.
Just steal from each other because they're all morons. They can't think. They say they're thinking for themselves,
so they can breathe in the morning.
but they just believe whatever somebody else tells them.
Why did the birds start chirping an hour before sunrise? Well, they've discovered that frequency of the chirp, chirp, chirp opens up
an hour before sunrise because the sky starts to lighten, dude. The sky starts to lighten before the sun peaks up over the horizon.
Now my thing is.
But were you there? Were you there? That's Kent Hovind's fucking favorite.
Be lying about perhaps what's going into the food, air, and water supply right now.
Oh, we're putting internet into the plants? Oh, yes, with the fiber optic cables.
Forever chemicals in them now. This is why there's a whole trend now.
Also, yes, this is the guy we're watching. He is, not wearing a shirt and is wearing a tinfoil hat. Correct.
You feel normal, but really you're experiencing an effect of all
Were
the
you there?
synthetics and
Were you
chemicals
there?
we're exposed to every single day. Now, if you think it's time for you to detox right now,
shut up. Put the chalk away. Stops by courthouse and pays a $197 jaywalking ticket on all pennies. Jaywalking ticket is crazy, dude. Wait, what is this? I don't know what any of these are. I was hoping for, again, more biology nonsense, but... Wait, what is this?
listen to this man discuss what's going on in the food supply in North America right now.
In beef, what we have found is as much as an 85% difference in nutrient density between grass-fed beef from animals fed in highly diverse pastures and conventional grain-fed beef.
Yes,
now, think
okay.
about the power that that has on our health each and every day. And
I mean, 85% sounds really high, but I don't doubt that there's a difference.
Beef, folks. Milk is not milk. A tomato is not a tomato.
Okay, I will agree with the tomatoes. Chat, if you eat a tomato out of the grocery store, they taste like fucking nothing. You grow a tomato, that shit gonna be an entirely different beast. Tomatoes are awesome when you grow them yourself. Or if you get them from somebody that grew them themselves. You get grocery store tomatoes, that shit tastes like water. That shit tastes like water. But I'm not surprised that feeding an animal that gets upwards of what? How heavy do cows get? 400 plus pounds? Time to farm. Go round now. You grow them upside down. You can grow tomatoes upside down on just like your porch if you have one. Or a balcony if you have like a tiny balcony. He used the word diversity and canceled.
But often today we act as if
no diversity here, no diversity, equity, and inclusion.
He talks about we need to start thinking about food as our medicine.
What Cooper says is, what are you paying for healthcare costs by not buying food that's really healthy for you? If you put healthcare costs and food costs in the same bucket, how cheap is cheap food?
We've been working with a different team of scientists than the Roots So Deep team, led by Dr. Stefan Van Vliet and Dr. Fred Provenza.
I was going to say, it's obvious that having
most in-depth nutritional research that's ever been done. So what
that's a bold claim. That's a bold claim, sir.
No other nutritionist
ass tastes better. No, it doesn't. No tolerance to your yeah, it's very hard, JK. This is only for the dumb bits.
And biological characteristics.
I have a mini farm. Ooh.
Then we're looking at the plants and we're literally observing and watching.
Yes, cheap food is notoriously less nutritional, higher in sugars, higher in fillers, as well as higher in processed such. Let me see. There's less nutritionally complete and higher calorie. Yes, they're right. They're right. But I think it's the weird way of the thing that they're also trying to pitch though is food is medicine, like this fucking comment says over here. The thing is, sure, I guess if you consider any preventative things or keeping yourself healthy as medicine, then yeah, being able to like take care of yourself better, eating fresher, healthier foods is medicine. But it's not like eating an organic tomato is going to cure cancer. But I don't know. We'll see where he's going to pitch with this. These guys are basically look like they're at a conference.
As we do that, then we are collecting the same parts of the plant that they're eating and analyzing that. So we analyze the soil, we analyze the plants.
Okay.
Then we collect the fresh fecal material.
Contrast all the bullshit? Yes, BB.
The end product, the meat, the eggs, the milk, whatever.
Also, Chad, if you didn't know, there's a massive E. coli outbreak in Florida linked directly to people drinking raw milk.
Trials. So all of those things combined together has never, ever been done before in the annals of nutritional research.
A patio garden cures depression. Patio gardens do cure depression.
It's not the same that it was 80 to 50 to 60 to 100 years ago. In fact, today, even if you're eating 100% organically, you're getting less than 10% of the full matrix of minerals. And minerals ignite every biological process in the body, and every single vitamin requires a mineral to activate it. Well, right now...
Oh boy, I love shitting nonstop. Shut up. No chalk. No chalk. Get that shit out of here. Oh God, come on, dude. More flooding? More flooding? We talking flooding? Okay. What do we think it's going to be this time? Earthquake machine? Tsunami bomb?
Flood a couple of days ago. As you can see, it's likely not flooded there before. Otherwise, they wouldn't have built so many homes that look fully submerged. People are on the rooftops.
Yeah.
Now, how many places is this happening to all around the world? And in a similar, like within just July, we've seen insane flooding all around the world. Now,
people live near water most of the time, and water tends to, if you're in the ocean,
there's other headlines that you won't see.
Have fucking tsunamis.
Suggest something else is going on. If you want to hear what the other potential could be, comment the word Rumble below, and I'll send you a link.
It is also monsoon season. It is monsoon season, buddy.
On Rumble, you need to hear about this. Comment Rumble, check your
Insane. And do you think he actually DMs all these people? Oh God, no, not the consume. Let's see. Come on, buddy. Is it just all going to be like architecture? Yes, we know humanity's gone boring. The place that history and science can't explain. Oh, dear God.
The Kailasa Temple in India.
Okay.
Check out this video. Let me know your thoughts.
Wait, are you just playing somebody else's video?
Temple. This place is absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is. It's fucking stunning. It's a stone temple carved out of a hillside. What is so fucking can't explain about this?
Constructed in the 8th century by...
Why is there so
King
much time
Krishna
between your
the
narrating,
First.
bud?
8th century puts this around 1,100,
Portal some
1,200
facts.
years old.
This
place defies modern history, archaeology, science, logic, everything.
Aww,
this place,
that's cute.
Technically, if you're a logical person, doesn't make sense, and it shouldn't be here.
What? Go back. Oh, son of a bitch.
The Kailasa Temple in India.
Fuck
Check
it, we'll do
out
it
this
again.
video.
We'll do it
Let me know
again.
your thoughts.
I hate that Instagram doesn't let you, like,
Kailasa Temple.
have, like, a slide bar.
This place is absolutely mind-blowing.
I want to listen to what he's saying.
Century by King Krishna the First. 8th
Okay.
century puts this around 1,100, 1,200 years old.
Yeah.
This place defies modern history.
Oh, go sure.
Science,
How?
logic,
How?
Everything. This place, technically.
How do you think he's gonna claim that it defies modern history? 1,000 to 100. Wait, he said 1,000, right? Since you're gonna live there, you probably should know now. But do you know why Norway puts barcodes in their navy ships so that when they return to port, they can Scandinavian? I hate that. I hate that. I hate that so much. To DM suckers, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Do you think he's just gonna have like a misunderstanding of human history? I think that's what he's gonna have.
If you're a logical person, doesn't make sense, and it shouldn't be here.
Okay, go on.
How crazy is this, man? This is this is carved out of a single rock. This is nothing like any
Carved
other
out of a
temple
mountain.
on Earth.
A hill.
This is like any
Yes.
other temple, right? They start at the bottom, they lay out the foundations, they get everything nice and square, nice and perfect. This
You start from the
is
top
carved
and you
from
have
the top
plenty of
down.
space to work
This
with.
is basalt rock. This is harder than granite and marble.
Is that? I don't think that's true. Hold on. What is basalt's hardness? 6 to 7. Granite, I thought was like an 8. Okay, no, they're the same. They're the same. So likely methods that you can use on basalt would be very similar to
compound of stone. And if you look up what tools they had, as we all have been taught,
copper.
1,200
Copper?
years ago, they had hammers and chisels.
Yes. Yes, they did. That is exactly what they had. Correct. And?
So that's correct. What you're looking at has been hammered and chiseled.
Yes, correct.
What a load of shit, man.
Huh?
What a load of shit. It's impossible. Oi.
What do you mean it's impossible? They had decades to do it. There's probably a bunch of people that helped make it. If they thought they were building a temple to a god, they would be devoted enough, more than likely, to spend the time, the effort to chisel their way down. What? He just dismisses all of that. He's just like, that's a load of bullshit. Anyway, it was aliens.
It's impossible.
What do you mean it's impossible? Because you can't do it?
You can't even chisel basalt rock. You can literally look
Yes,
this
you
up on
can.
Google. Can you chisel basalt rock? Even Google says
Yes.
no. So you're looking at something that
You
has
can
been
chisel
built with
granite.
Some sort of technology that we have lost.
There's
Because
granite
why is
statues
it here
all over the
otherwise?
globe used
The-
by hammer and chisel.
Detail and the planning, the technology that you must have.
Ah,
to be
yes,
able to
measurements.
engineer and work from the
Basic
top.
measurements.
It's amazing just how much of our history may be slightly modified. Of course, history is his story. You control the past, you control the present, control the future. Officially, we are at the height of science and technology. Unofficially, we might be in a lowered state of consciousness because of all the strange
spirit science
chemicals
is back.
in food, air, and water supply. Well, if you would like to detox some of those...
Shut up. Nope. I know where that was going. Chiseling rock is really hard, you guys, and I can't do it, so a bunch of stonemasons 1,000 years ago definitely couldn't. Have you considered going to the gym, picking up a hammer and chisel, and going to town on a block of marble? It's like he does that. He's just like, that's impossible. Huh? Okay. What? Oh, what is this? Mikasuki Indian Reservation near Alligator Alcatraz. We'll see what he has to say.
Breaking news, a massive fire erupts on Miskoksiki Indian Reservation near Alligator Alcatraz.
I don't know, I've never heard of this group.
As flames rip through tribal land just miles from the controversial
Not with that
ice
attitude, he can't. Chad Ancient Masons. I need somebody to make that a meme.
Here's a video of it, and here's the crazy part. We have been seeing so many fires, so many floods, major droughts, hailstorms, seemingly an uptick in lightning strikes.
Ah, yes. Changes in severe weather, increasing in likelihood in a region with warm water? It's almost like you could come to understand how weather patterns are affected by oceanic air and the water temperature.
Florida as well. I don't know if you saw that. I can tell you something very strange is going on here. However,
no, not the chalk.
I don't know that this is necessarily the app to fully discuss the potentials of what's going on. If you want to hear the other side of the story, free speech.
He says he streams 4 hours every night on Rumble about whatever these topics are. Skynet funding bill is passed. Okay. Glacier National Park. Banker Gangster. What? Do you want to see what he has to say about the fact that Venmo and PayPal can now donate to the United States debt? Who the fuck is this? Is that from COVID? Did somebody invent those pop-up fucking, what do you want to call it? Pods? It looks like one of those shitty, cheap college laundry hampers that they just put clear plastic instead of their colored plastic. Now imagining tweezers to wind down and end missions of 2 satellites that measure carbon in the atmosphere, because we don't want people to know that climate change is provable. It's not even that it's provable, it's that it's proved. They don't care. But I want to see. Okay, what are we? The stairs? We have mystery stairs.
Have a look at these stairs. You may be thinking, well, it's an old tree. They cut down this tree. We shouldn't be cutting down big trees. That's neither here nor there. I agree that we should be leaving, old growth trees. I don't know if this one was on its way out or was going to get cut down anyway. But my
so he knows old growth trees are a thing.
The studies they've done that children in classrooms that are made of natural materials, wooden walls, wooden desks.
Oh, good Lord.
Natural material. They have a longer attention span, more focus, and more energy. Almost like we have.
What? Is he gonna say that if you build a classroom out of wood, it's gonna be better for kids? But then he's gonna say it's I bet what he's about to say is humans have a connection with nature that makes us more comfortable and open to a higher consciousness.
We are influenced by our surroundings.
Oh gee, who would have fucking thought?
Now, what do you think the frequency is?
Frequency?
Off of
frequency?
Cell towers, Wi-Fi, smart meters.
Huh?
What do you think the frequencies are coming off of? Synthetic materials, concrete, plastic. Do you think that could be having an effect?
Spirit
Not
science
to mention
is back.
Lights, which we know cut the
Time to send this to
lifespan of
Hora.
fruit flies and chickens in half. Did you hear about that study? It's shocking. This is why I'm always talking about ways to lengthen our lifespan, boost our brain functions against all.
Don't say chalk. Don't say chalk. Don't say chalk. Don't say chalk.
Like the.
God damn it! I was ready. All right, I want to know why he has pictures of Zeppelins.
Forget about the blimps for a second.
It's all rage baits.
The architecture.
The thing is, I don't know if it is.
This is the.
I don't think it is. I think he may be genuinely stupid.
Back right now under the current control system. People are talking about these ancient buildings having sacred geometry that give off positive vibes. Not just
who's talking about that?
Brilliant. The way they look.
They're just pretty.
All types of stuff in your brain.
Living in a pretty environment boosts overall fucking life expectancy.
And so many also have disappeared
because people are happier.
Mysterious fire. Well, we do deep dives on this kind of thing all the time because the truth behind this agenda
mysterious
is shocking,
fire,
and we have to do them on these deep dives on a different platform. That's total free speech. That's how I'm always talking about my Rumble channel. It's free speech, free to watch. Free
speech. But atom vibrate, therefore frequency, music of the stars is real. Okay. All right. I want to know what he's talking about on this horse ranch.
Let me just ask, is it too much that we could have a natural environment that's not polluted and tainted? You know, we're supposed to be stewards of the land that make it better for our future children. But with the amount of stuff getting sprayed in the food, air, and
again, I agree with him on this. Generally, I agree with the thoughts. Oh no, I know Ferd. That's how I found out about this guy. Milo mentioned in the video that he had biology videos that I wanted to see. So I was like, maybe this guy will be fun to talk about today. But I'm not finding much of those. I'm not finding much of these like biology videos. It seems most conspiracy theorists. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to go from conspiracy theorist to irritatingly young Earth creationist. Okay. Yeah, I watch him pretty frequently because I like his history stuff. But I saw some of his more like debunking stuff recently. But I know Japan has picked up old trees and moved them, but that doesn't look like a real picture. But it's food, cost of cars. Paper straws. Cool ring that turns into fucking, okay, fine. Really, dude? There's nothing else? Oh, he has a rest in peace Hulk Hogan? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, we got another Beyond the Ice. Crocodile eyes. All right. What are you claiming? What are you claiming? Yeah, cool. Crocodile eyes.
Okay, we gotta talk.
I don't know if you can necessarily call eyes advanced or not.
Thing. We'll talk about that. But did you know that alligators are one of the only things that are unique among reptiles in that they do not have a pineal gland?
Oh yes, decalcify your pineal gland.
Species and believed to play a role in regulating circadian this, that, and the other.
Yes, totally.
But this
reptilian,
a crocodile.
Because I'm pretty sure the pineal gland came about later
now, of course,
in the evolutionary tree.
It's our third eye. It's the seat of our soul. It regulates our hormones. It has many other special benefits. However, as you probably
do other reptiles have a pineal gland? I don't think they do.
Whether it's from the fluoride or the other contaminants, the chemicals, even artificial light disrupts its function. And this is a part of your body that is your
Hulk Hogan, rest in piss.
Point between your physical body and your soul. That's where we're always talking about decalcifying.
No. I know he's gonna bring up chalk. There's this decalcifying the pineal gland. Oregon shutting down family farms. All right, we got more pyramids. We'll do maybe a couple more, and then we'll swap to like some calming down with like some food videos or something.
Maybe one of these. Well, officially there isn't on in Antarctica. Of course, officially there isn't, but there is that one.
Officially,
that looks like one. But I got in trouble actually for talking about pyramids on here the other day when I mentioned
Pyramid of the Moon. Is that a? Hold on. Human-made pyramid? No, on the moon? What? Huh? Oh no, fucking Google AI is... Okay, Mexico's Pyramid of the Moon. I was making sure it wasn't the one that's in, like, Bosnia. Because I know one of the ones there that they claim is a pyramid, and it's not. Is like the Pyramid of the Sun, so I just wanted to check that.
In Bosnia, that there could be a complex of them, and they said...
Except they're not! He immediately brings up Bosnia. That's fucking impressive.
So I'm careful talking about pyramids and ancient history that could be considered in contravention to the official narrative. If you want to hear the
Because they're not pyramids in Bosnia. It's a scam by a businessman.
You don't need to be censoring yourself for, but that's why I made my Rumble livestream channel. It's free to download, free to watch, and free to join. If you
comment Rumble below, that's it. You don't talk about anything. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to look around for other people just to see what others are like. What the fuck is that? I don't like that. I do not like macroplastic brain. What is this? Oh, wait, do you think he's gonna defend Candace Owens?
Breaking news. French President Emmanuel Macron has just sued Candace Owens for saying his wife,
That he mentions,
Bridget,
buy
was
more
born a
chalk.
215-page suit
Yeah.
was just filed in Delaware.
Okay.
Candace Owens is getting sued.
Yes.
Now, it's crazy because allegations are being flown all over the place about different major politicians and potentials of this, that, and the other. And you got to be careful what you say today because things like this, I mean... Now, we do deep dives on stuff like this all the time on my live stream channel, which is totally free to download and free to watch. Comment.
Nope, nothing of substance. Cool. July 20th? Rain? Again, I'm trying to see if I can spot anything. Tesla diner in Hollywood where robots serve you food. Wasn't that also confirmed to be controlled by people? Right? Weren't the robots controlled by people there too? Just eat macroplastics. Just start gnawing on Legos, dude. Just start chomping down on Legos. Visit the Temple of Ur in Al Nasiria. It was very zigguratty. Yeah. The thing is the idea of a pyramid is a very modern, like, concept. It's a modern category that we've like come up with to describe essentially four-sided buildings that have a larger base and come to a smaller point, either a point or some like meeting platform. And these guys are all like, it has to be a conspiracy. There has to be something connecting them all because they all look the same. It's totally not the best way to stack rocks. That's it. It's the best way to stack rocks and have them not fall down. Why do they build pyramids? Because it's easy to stack rocks that way. That's it. A ziggurat's just the pyramid that gave up halfway? Yeah. I mean, Mesoamerican pyramids, or as they're described as pyramids, are kind of the same way. They usually have something at the top of them, a building or anything like that. But USAID binders in Afghanistan. I guess the 2% tax to 40% tax. I agree with that. Give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. Ah, yes, football stadiums. Again, still... The U.S. cattle herd is the smallest since 1951. Just 86.7 million heads left nationwide. Okay. I think that number should be smaller. Anyway. Yeah, I don't think we're going to find anything else in here. This is... Damn it. I wanted more. I wanted bet. Oh my God. Is he wearing the pyramid hat in all of these now? He is. He's wearing the tinfoil hat in all of these. Wait, is he upset that they said all the world's people are your brothers and sisters? There's 2 videos of this same tweet. Why? I don't even want to know what this fucking U-Haul truck is that he has. Washing dishes could be bad for your health. Chud, dude, this is why I don't wash my dishes, ladies. It's bad for my health. I can't risk it. Shouldn't be having to wash my dishes. Big tough man over here. Pyramid head, pyramid hat, son. Please no. Please no. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to find anything else in here. We're going to start the ad break a little bit early because I'm going to give you all the fishing game. I'm going to go find something for us to calm down with the last hour. I need to find better fucking like more specific videos that are like my specialty. But let me see here. Okay. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. I will give you all the music. It's only 30 seconds till the ad break starts. I'm not going to go ahead and like start it, but ad break will run. Fishing game's going to be available, and I will turn the music up for y'all and turn up the AC. I'll be back in a minute. Okay. Sorry that took so long, chat. Let's turn the music down in just a second. All right. Let me... We don't need the glasses no more. We don't need to see so good. To see delicious foods. All right. So, I had to... Sorry, I got up because I was like, we're about to watch food. I'm going to get hungry. So, I said, fuck it. I went to see what I had to eat. So I just grabbed a spoon of peanut butter. I just had a spoon of peanut butter. It's fine. It's fine. All right, fishing game, go away. All right, I got 2 videos. One's short, one's long. I may change what it is, and I don't know if we're going to be able to make it through the entire long one. But the first one is the pizza food truck. I have spicy Doritos, like the spicy nacho Doritos. Those are my favorites. Those are my favorite Doritos. And if your favorite is the Cool Ranch, you're wrong. I don't make the rules. You're just wrong. But, God, I can't tell you how many of these fucking pizza things that we've seen, crunchy or creamy. It was like fresh ground peanut butter, so it was like that gritty peanut butter. So it has like that gritty taste to it, and it's a little runny. I don't know if that counts as, what do you call it? I don't know if that counts as creamy, but it's probably closer to creamy than it is to crunchy. But it's my favorite peanut butter, and I can get it at my local grocery store. All right, so I have this one, and then we actually have baking. We have baking. So we can vibe out with just a little bit of food here and there. Also, I wonder why what the hell is that? They rigged a rotisserie machine for pizzas? What? I've never seen that. Wait, I did not expect that, actually. I need the Marin Po' Boy emote for food days. Oh, yeah, don't we all? I need to get that emote. I need to get that emote. Who was it? Laurel Bean was the one. Do you want the one that was like Makari's like sniffing one? Gorgonzola pizza. Okay. Oh, good lord. Oh, cream cheese. Okay, you lost me. You lost me. I'm already out. A Gorgonzola pizza with a cream cheese base? I don't like this at all, dude. I don't like this at all. Yeah, too many emotes, not enough slots. Yeah, we're out of static slots, but we do still have animated slots. We do have animated slots. My mom was choosy, so she chose Jif. Jif is not a cheap. That's like, it's the cheapest one on the shelf. It'll be fine. At least you're not a Skippy kid. I feel sorry for anybody that ate Skippy on the regular. Blue cheese. Okay. Or, well, Gorgonzola. Okay. I suppose. Cream cheese, regular cheese, Gorgonzola. Oh, maybe that's one of those pizzas that I saw before that just looked like really, really eh. Is Gorgonzola pizza a thing that they mostly do in Japan? Does anybody know? Is it Peter Pan Man? No, I've gotten bougie. I need my fresh ground peanut butter. If I have, like, my family growing up was almost always Peter Pan. Yeah, it was pretty much always Peter Pan. My dad liked crunchy, but everybody else in the house preferred creamy. So if we sent my dad to get groceries, he would always come back with crunchy peanut butter. We'd throw a fit and he'd be like, well, just eat it anyway, because he'd only eat peanut butter like once every month, while me and my siblings had a peanut butter sandwich like every third day. Wait, is that already on? It doesn't look like it's on. Oh? Prep box? Pineapple. Pineapple, baby, let's go. Crunchy's legit. I like mine more smooth, but I do like the gritty kind that I get from the fresh ground peanut butter. Okay, so this seems to generally be flatbread. I don't like it. I don't like it. It looks like a tortilla with cheese melted on top, and for some reason it has blotches. Hi, Windsor. They put gorgonzola on pizza in Italy too. Okay. Me with my crunchy peanut butter and hagelslag. Listen, Ordain, you can enjoy your hagelslag. You wouldn't cheese tortilla with blotches? No, not when that's an option. Not when that supreme pizza's an option. The pliers to check. I'd be very scared for that tray to like bend and the pizza just to flap onto the fucking floor. Oregano? Oregano. L? Was this the large? Do they do smaller sizes? Chat. I was originally gonna go get like a burger after stream today, or a sandwich. I kind of want to get pizza now. Is that blotch or blight? Yes. The answer is yes. The ribbon. Wait, what? I hate when my nails super late. Your nails. You got a pizza again, but it's so good. And it's the most amount of food for the most affordable amount of money. When my mail's super late? Hmm? I'm still confused by what you're saying. But potatoes, whole potato slices? Listen, I mentioned the mashed potato pizza before. I've never seen someone do it with whole potato slices. Your pizza? Yeah, pizza. Hi, Queens. I feel like this is gonna give it like a rosy look almost. Oh goodness. I feel like I don't think I should go get another. I don't think I should go get pizza so soon. The same thing is though, is I want to go back to that burger place I went to. I don't even remember what day it was. Was it Friday? No, it definitely wasn't Friday. It was Thursday when I went Thursday. No, it was the day because I went in the middle of the day. Saturday? Yeah, it was Saturday. It was the day that I went and did cardio just because I was bored. I want to go back because the burger was so good. And I want to try some of the other stuff on their menu. Because that was the place that got the camel burger. Now I got to go try the elk burger now. Onions. Okay. He showed something like this earlier, but it was literally just this pizza and the onions and the sauce. Mushrooms? Tearing apart the mushrooms? Ooh, those mushrooms have seen better days. And wait, that's not pineapple. Is that mango? Red onion, mushrooms, and mango? It looks like mango or peach. Okay. Salami. Pepperoni. More cheese. Corn. You know what? I'm sold. This looks great. I want this pizza. Actual camel? Yes, actual camel. Actual camel. Okay. Again, I'm not the biggest. I don't like thin crust pizzas that much. If I want pizza, I want a thick, fluffy crust. At least on the outside. If the inside is thin and the crust is like enough to chew on like a breadstick, I'm fine with that. But when it's a cracker like this, don't really care. I know there's a lot of people that really like thin crust pizza. I'm not a fan. Catty corner sauces. Do it. Yeah. How other cultures make pizza. I want to try so many different kinds now. I've never seen, even in like Japanese pizza places, I've never seen them use what is essentially a like modified rotisserie. But I'm easy camel. I had camel. It was very, it had a unique taste to it. It felt, I don't know how to describe it. Like, you know how when you bite into a like ground beef burger, it falls apart easily? It felt a bit tougher and it had like a unique taste to it. You could tell that it wasn't beef, but like if you didn't tell me it was camel, I probably wouldn't have been able to guess what it was. I probably would have guessed something like bison first before I got anywhere near camel. Hand tossed or pan, never thin. Yes, exactly. Hand tossed, pan, Sicilian. That's a big pizza. Wait, is this one bigger than the others? Although it is bothering me a bit that they're using canned pizza sauce. Oh no, it's jarred pizza sauce. Oh wait, no, maybe it's handmade. That's just one of the, that's just the label to buy the empty jar. Again, these mushrooms have seen better days. They're kind of scary. They kind of have a yellowish tinge to them. Again, we have the mango. Now, who all remembers back when I did the custom pizza for one of the marathons we did? And one of the toppings on it, when I lived in New England, was mango. And the mango wasn't ripe, so it tasted like ass. Ever eat emu burgers? I have not. I'm actually, if I go today, I'm actually gonna ask them. I'm gonna ask them because when I went, it said camel and elk were in season. But I wanna know if maybe there's some meats that they have year round. So I kind of want to know about that. I'm curious. I'm very curious. Ooh, what is that? Parade? No, what is that? Mustard? Sweet potato mousse. Huh? Oh. Oh my god. Oh, okay. This is a lot of sweet potato mousse. Do you think it's gonna melt a little bit when it heats up so that it like covers the crust? I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna melt a little bit. Okay. Nope, didn't really melt. You still got the weird yellow turdy looking stuff. Obscure animal proteins? I need more obscure animal proteins. I need to know. Listen, I'm really hungry. I haven't eaten since about 6, 7 o'clock yesterday. So I have some extra money. I'm tempted to get 2 burgers. Maybe. Because I went last time and I got like the big fried sampler. But now I know what I want out of that fried sampler, so I'm probably not going to do that again. Hamburger, obviously. Hamburger. Wait. Let's do hamburgers. We're gonna do hamburgers instead. All right, chat. It's hamburger time. Mater. Ooh. Aw, plastic cheese. Wait, was that a potato cutter they were using to bloom the onion? Oily. I want the oily burger. Oh, okay, bye. Is Marin fasting since yesterday? No. There's just, they made food last night. Folks in the house made food, but they made sour cream enchiladas. There's a couple of things on this planet that I don't like. Like, I could probably count them generally on one hand. And sour cream is at the top of that fucking list. Bamherger. Yeah, Bamhergers. Pat, 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 pat. You missed. Yes, Gary. Answer the question. 6 or 7 morning or afternoon? Afternoon. Afternoon. I ate like a bowl of the Spanish rice that they made to go with the enchiladas and some of the beans. But I did not eat the enchiladas themselves. I can't say anything. I despise scalloped potatoes. Scalloped potatoes are really hit or miss for me. But it's the thing with sour. They use, you know how you usually have like a sauce that's basically all over enchiladas when you make them? Or like when you get an enchilada, you'll have meat inside a tortilla packed together with like a sauce. It could be mole, it could be a meat sauce, it could be a tomatoey sauce. And then you usually put cheese over the top of it. In this case, it was that sauce was just all sour cream. It was all sour cream and then cheese thrown on top of it. It does. I'm not gonna take a picture, but it does not look appetizing to my brain at all. It's the McCumchilada. I'm pretty sure this is an apple cutter or something similar. I'm like 99% sure that this machine is like an apple cutter. Please go get food. I'll go get food. I'm gonna go get food regardless. I'm fine. It's just I was busy. I'm usually not hungry before stream, and then I get hungry during stream. No, not the bagged pasta. What are we gonna do with the pasta? Mac and cheese? Do you think? I'm guessing they have mac and cheese as like a side. It's fine, queens. Don't worry. Nah, I waited all day yesterday thinking that they were making like, because they got home early. That's why I ended stream early. And I saw that they were cooking when I went out to check. Hit the Asian grocery store hot table. Just, I'm so vibing. Let's go. Hit him with the olive oil. Hit it with the olive oil. Hi, Cult. How are you doing? Oh. Okay, yeah, we're definitely making mac and cheese. Paprika? Some blend of seasonings. Ooh. Is that chili oil? Barbecue sauce? Maybe? Okay, then I don't think we're making your average mac and cheese, if that's what this is gonna be. Oh, okay. No, this is gonna be mac and cheese. Okay. Now that's chili oil. I was right. Okay, I thought it was chili oil. Colby Jack, cheddar cheese. Okay, we're getting our mixes of cheese in here. Good. Excellent. Excellent. Listen, I don't typically like dishes. I really don't like dishes that are like, their whole purpose is to be 90% cheese or 90+% cheese. I like cheese as like an accent ingredient. Probably why I like pizza, because there's the whole crust, there's all the sauce, there's all the toppings, and then cheese is just a nice gooey medium in the middle of it. The thing is, I kind of want to go to that brewery I went to last week. Chat, oh no, I didn't. I didn't give you the pictures of the Masonic Lodge that was across the street from the brewery I went to. Because it's kind of doxing. It's a very iconic building. I want to show it to you, but it's onions? Oh. Mac and cheeseburger. Wait, are they gonna make patties out of these? Getting dwinks again? I didn't say I was gonna get a drink. Their pizza was really fucking good. Their pizza was so good, dude. I got a pepperoni pizza while I was there, and that shit went down easy. Don't even need a proper meal. Do not eat the block of cheese. I beg you, do not eat the block of cheese. Deli slicer time. Ooh, that is actually almost a perfectly thin slice of tomato. The number of places I've been to in the past that just like hand slice the tomatoes and you end up with just a massive chunky slice of tomato. I like tomatoes, but I don't like it when like I can see the entire tomato in the bun, in the burger. Getting a twink again? Getting a twink again? No, a dwink. A drink, if you will. A drink. I cast dehydrated. Oh, look, you can see my abs. Consume all the cheese. Listen, I like cheese melted on top of things. I will eat things that have cheese melted on them all fucking day. Naan with cheese in them. Cheesy breads, burritos with cheese in them. Gotta be more in there, but I do like cheese and things. Okay, what are we doing with this? Layers of onions, cabbage. Dill? It looks like dill. I may be wrong on that. Are we pickling these? I was right, pickling. All right. It is dill for sure, yeah. Yeah, okay, so they're making the brine. All the salt. All the salt. Ooh. Capers. Mustard seeds. Peppercorns? I can't really tell the rest off the top of my head. But yeah, that looks, with that all that stuff put into the brine, that's gonna taste awesome. Anything can be pickled? Correct, including people. Ask me how I know. No, listen, it's fine. Shh, 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 it's fine. Shh. I cast Cries of Biblical Flood. Oh, we're making shrimp paste with an emulsion blender. That sounds like that's too much work, dude. Just get out the food processor. Why use an emulsion blender for that? Chat, is it bad? I want pizza and a burger. I'm not gonna do that. That's gonna be too expensive. Pizza burger, nodders. B over here about to get an elk pizza burger. Nah. Me too, man. Listen, sometimes you gotta go to those gastropubs that hit you with the greasiest burger you ever seen and the oiliest pizza that you've ever had. Olive oil and cream? Okay. Ah, are we making shrimp patties? Shrimp balls? Okay. Okay, but why is this gonna be smashed into a patty, or is this gonna be just like a side thing? Dairy industry around World War II, the American government established the Missouri cheese caves, and that's where government cheese comes from. Correct. Do you know government cheese is the only reason we have so many pizza companies, so many pizza chains? Because they essentially, back in, I believe it was the 80s and 90s, it was like the height of the Got Milk campaign, which was a government campaign, and a combination of the dairy industry. So the best way to do it was to essentially give away the surplus of government cheese every year. What the fuck? I love government cheese now. Listen, it's not great. Ooh, whole grain mustard, baby. That's what you need. We're making fry sauce. And sugar. Oh, we're making aioli. We're making and chili oil. Oh, this is gonna be a bangin' chili aioli, dude. This is gonna be so fucking good. It's not even a conspiracy, dude. Listen, why break out the food processor when you could just play around with the emulsion blender? It's not holy. Listen, that's fine. You'll survive. It's okay. Just fine. Just sit back, relax. The cheese caves, I think. Yeah. The thing is, they're not like caves. They're more like underground warehouses, because it was the most affordable way to store so much things that required refrigeration. Oh. Tropical burger bun started with brown sugar. Okay. I would say that's molasses, but it's too runny, so I think it's soy sauce. Heinz something sauce. Okay, that's obviously red pepper. paprika. Bouillon powder. Okay. Black pepper. Okay, it's kind of stressing me out that you're pouring the, Yeah, this is a barbecue sauce. This is definitely a barbecue sauce. The other cave's made of cheese. No, Flan, don't fall for it. Hi, Kevin. How are you doing? If you believe hard enough, listen, we hit the conspiracy theories. We're now relaxing with food for the last bit of stream. How are you doing, Kevin? What trouble did you get into today? Pepper Jack Gib? I like pepper jack on my burgers. That's, my grocery store has a ghost pepper, pepper jack that you can get, and I got it for a while. I haven't had it in, like, almost a year now. Because usually most of it ends up going bad because we don't end up using the cheese that often in this house. But it was really good. Honey? No. No, it is honey. Okay, that is honey. I was about to say, is that agave syrup? No, it is honey. I was right the first time. More mayonnaise? I don't know if it's mayonnaise or if it's sour cream. And onions. Chilies? Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm not sure what the sauce is going to be. Garlic. A chili aioli? Capers? Salt. Is it a tartar sauce? I think it's tartar sauce. Got some pandas because I've been hankering for something faux Chinese. Hope y'all are well. Listen, sometimes you got to get that like Chinese American slop. I am a sucker for sesame chicken. I get a craving for it like, God, I think about it probably weekly, at least once. But I usually end up only getting it like once every couple months. Because my favorite Chinese place is not here, it's elsewhere. So like anytime I think of the other place, I'm always like, oh, they're okay. They're not that great though. It's also anytime I think about it, I'm always like, well, do I want like American Chinese or do I want traditional Chinese? I really kind of want to try traditional Chinese. And there's only one restaurant in my whole city that serves traditional Chinese. Thomas, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How are you doing? And last time I went there, I got mapo tofu for the first time, and that shit is so good. The Szechuan pepper, like, lip tingles is different. It is a different eating experience. Are we gonna get back to the mac and cheese at some point? My very white Irish mother ordered fried dough sticks in Mandarin. Aw, that's cute. That's cute. It's always funny seeing those instances of people being like giddy or excited when somebody's like trying to use their language with them. Because I like, especially if somebody's working in food service, can you imagine how many times a person has had someone come in and try to speak to them in a language they don't understand? Oh, this is for ice cream. This is the ice cream machine. All right, now let that shit spin for 4 hours. The butter wheel. Chat, if you ever want to get that good butter spread on your buns, buy a butter wheel. That shit's awesome. This one's way bigger than the one you need, but shit's awesome. It's great. I've had it at multiple kitchens I've worked in. It's awesome. You get the perfect spread of butter, get that perfect crispiness. Yeah. Chat, did I ever show you? Hold on. No, I sent y'all a picture of my burger, right? From the place that I went to on Saturday that I'm thinking about going back to again. Jesus, that is a lot of mayonnaise. Okay, that's the tartar sauce. Oh yeah, give me the fucking good sesame. Not sesame. Oh, I'm brain farting. The like chili aioli. Okay. Yutiao? Churros? Oh, I know the ones, the like savory donuts. The ones that kind of look like a squished O, if that makes sense. The leg lamp? Yeah, it's the one with the leg lamp. They had a leg lamp at the bar, and I saw it, and I like walked over, and it just happened to be closed after I went to the pickle bar. They have a pickle bar there. It's a bunch of barrels filled with different kinds of pickles. And it was closest to that side, so I was like, I'm just gonna sit here because I like the leg lamp. They had the leg lamp from A Christmas Story. This is loud. Jesus. That sizzling's a little fucking loud in my ears. Jesus. Oh God, nobody better start singing the Wendy's training video. Unless it's hot drinks. You can only sing the hot drinks Wendy's training video. Crimson Art, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How are you doing? Squish, squish. Also, with how tender these patties are, just being able to squish them right after flipping them looks real nice. Also, my model's lagging a bit. We've reached that part of the day. If you can't hear your burger, I don't want it. Listen, that's understandable. I also picked up some fresh mackerel. I'm gonna cook it tomorrow. Ooh, what are you planning? What do you think of cooking it with? Soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it! The fucking cheese, dude, not the plastic cheese. Wait, that is such a good emote, Ordain. I was gonna say, that's Riku's emote. I recognize the chat blend when I see it. That's a good emote. Put auto drive feature in the site. Yes, I did. I did see that in the newest update. And just free run like an NPC? Yeah. Okay, so we are frying the shrimp balls. Are they gonna put them on top of a burger? Yeah, all cars can do the auto drive. I do know that, but somebody mentioned Delamain. Keep it simple, stupid. Principle for mackerel. Ah. You have a lighter? Who gave Ordain a lighter? Okay, they did flatten out like a little bit. So I was right. It was for a particular burger type. Bacon. Bacon. Bit of garlic, some juice. Oh, that is simple. Simple but effective, especially when it comes to fish. Wait, is that it? Wait, are you not? Oh, okay, he's just flapping them around. That was a very ineffective way to pick up the bacon. I guess. It's weird. Best bacon is chewy bacon, chat. If you prefer it any other way, you're wrong. You're wrong and I will fight you in the parking lot. Wait, what is that emote? Oh, it's Anna's hand. Oh, wait. That is Anna's hand. Okay. Barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce. So that's probably, I'm guessing with the grilled pineapple is the tropical one. Ooh. I like the avocado one. Avocado and burger is awesome. Oh, they only make mac and cheese that on like a small scale? Okay. Wait, why do you have to use a torch to light your grill? Is the igniter broken? That's a little embarrassing, bud. Listen, I wish I liked mac and cheese just so that I could try this mac and cheese. But... Also, this is going to be a slop fest to eat. I don't like this. I plan on catching some fresh Spanish mackerel. Ooh. Coleslaw. Coleslaw. I don't know no Cole. I do know Cole. I know a couple Cole. I have a family member named Cole. I know all the Coles. Oh, the coleslaw went on the shrimp burger. Okay. Okay. I see where this is going. I like where this is going. Would you get Japanese fish in Spain? I mean, if it's catchable there. Oh, we're still missing the bloomin' onion. Are we doubling this? Are we doing dry, wet, drying? I hope we are. I really hope we are. Okay, good. Excellent. Excellent. Yes, perfect. Cover the bloomin' onion. Listen, I know some people are haters of bloomin' onions, but there's something awesome about fucking fried onions. I love fried onions, dude. Onion rings, fantastic. Bloomin' onions, a bigger version of an onion ring. I will tear apart a bloomin' onion. Hi, Haitian, how are you doing? For those burgers, still wouldn't stop me from trying, though? Oh, for sure. My ass is gonna be start squishing that bitch down. Onions fine to me. They're such a good aromatic, though. They smell good, they taste good. And you give them proper seasonings when you're making a bloomin' onion. Awesome. They're awesome. That's though, instead of having onion rings at the burger place I went to, they have onion strings. Which I think is a little bit better. I kind of like the strings more than the onion rings. No sauteed, no fried, just fresh, crunchy onions. Okay, you're gonna have to elaborate on that one. You're gonna have to explain that one. Plus, onions can make me cry. It's fine. The bloomin' onions won't make you cry. And now stick a delicious Cajun sauce in the middle of that bitch. Ordain, are you being crushed by money? Here, let me help you with that. Ordain, being crushed by money. Is this just a plain milkshake? Oh, it is. Just a vanilla milkshake. Okay. As someone of culture, do you eat it with or without the peel? That's a good question. Ordain suffering from success? Perhaps. Perhaps. Fuck, dude. I was doing good the last couple days of like going to the gym, exercising. Oh, I want that burger again. The funny thing is, when you think about it, how bad is a burger? Like compared to all the stuff that you can put on it with vegetables and everything, nutrition wise, I don't think it's that bad. I'd be more concerned going to like a fast food place and getting a burger. I'd be more concerned if you went to a fast food place and got a burger than if you went to like a local place that uses like local meats. Very healthy? I don't know about very healthy per se. Per se, perhaps, perchance even, but it's burger time. Yeah, it probably just depends on how many calories, how many calories you're able to intake in a day. The thing is though, is I usually only eat like one. Jesus. All right, let me see who is live. Grounded. Let me get the music for y'all. I totally forgot to start the music again. How many? Is that a challenge? How many? Veggie burgers for a reason? True. Apparently the burger place I went to actually does have a veggie burger on the menu. And it's made out of like quinoa and a bunch of other stuff. It's a black bean burger with like quinoa, corn, like a bunch of other things in it. I haven't tried that either. Again, when I went the other day, it was my first time going there. All right, I know who we're rating. We are gonna rate a Terra. Don't laugh at my Snickers dick. My Snickers dick vein. It's fine. It's fine. You can't eat the Snickers without the dick vein. We're gonna rate a Terra. Terra's currently playing Expedition 33. Although she looks like she was in the same zone that like I stopped playing in, but probably further ahead. Hi, Grins. We're just about to head out. I'm gonna be back tomorrow, you guys. We're gonna be playing. Oh, I brain farted. There was something else we were gonna play. No, we're catching up on Heartworm. We're going back to Heartworm because we only got to play like an hour and a half yesterday. A Terra Nox? They? No? As far as I know, they've always been a Terra Nox. And I've known them for a while. All right. What do we want to do for a raid message? We got to come up with this fast. We're already at half the timer. Are you thinking of Luma? Or Hira? Damn it. I was going to do something with the duh. Food conspiracy? Oh no. I can't highlight it. Fuck you, Twitch. Let me highlight it. All right, guys. I will see you later. Don't burn anything down. We'll go with food conspiracy. Why does my eye suddenly sting? Ow, fuck. I will see you later. Good night. I'll see you tomorrow at noon CDT.